for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and they say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and he found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to State House, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did Parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will
sana.
always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We say good morning and welcome to Monday.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Kwaje?
Niko salama kabisa. Bonjour, ne?
Bonjour.
How are you?
Salama sana, kwaje?
Niko poa. How was your weekend?
I love that. What color is that?
Burgundy.
I'm tempted to say purple. That's
No,
burgundy.
it's not purple. This is burgundy, actually.
That's burgundy.
Purple
What's
is
your-
this that Martha Karua is wearing.
What's that then? If that's burgundy, what you
This
wearing?
is magenta.
Okay. I know.
Huh?
Now I'm confused.
Magenta, burgundy, Nduh, your
Magenta,
Gazette.
burgundy,
This
maroon.
is purple is like that.
Yeah.
Maroon, burgundy,
So what's
magenta flow into each other, kind of. It's all on the color spectrum.
Color spectrum.
Now, uko salama with your cable knit sweater. It looks very nice, sir.
Asante sana. Nashukuru.
How's your weekend?
Good.
Good? Okay, we just...
Nilienda Masaku.
Sorry?
Nilienda Masaku, Machakos.
Oh, Machakos.
I was in Machakos on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
It was good.
Machakos was good?
Yeah, Machakos was good.
You shall tell tales of Machakos.
It wasn't also so hot as people usually claim, and it was green as well, and very quiet at night.
That's, you know, it's up. That's upper Ukambani. Lower Ukambani is different from my
lower.
understanding. Ebu ask akina Mutanu.
Lower Kitui.
Kitui, Makweni.
Okay. But it was nice. It was beautiful.
That's good. I'm very happy that you were able to get out of the city.
Yep.
I think we need to organize such a thing with some palm trees and coconuts for EVE.
EVE? Piga makofi, you hear your story?
Palm trees and coconuts, are they in your future? Are they in your future?
At least, Evelyn, you get to enjoy mass waterboard is not karai.
Hey, not just the water in your teacup. Larger water bodies in your future. We can see it.
Nakupenda tu, Evelyn.
That is what we are hoping for your life moving forward.
Abisa.
At least for a few days.
We should actually take TSR on the road.
Commercial, please do that.
TSR on the road would be fun.
Big fun, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's meet the people. Meet the people too.
I guess that's what we can call it. Hey, a very good morning to everybody.
How was your weekend?
It was okay. My daughter is here. Yay! So, yes. And then they were playing, they had a basketball tournament over the weekend as they closed school. And then they, of course, won their tournaments. And I say, of course, like, gosh. So, she's a very, very good basketball player, I must say. So, hey. And so she's
That's
here.
why they say an apple does not fall far from the tree.
Bus,
you know what I mean?
Bus.
I
mean, what do you have? 6 feet tall at 16 years old. She's, she's quite the thing. So I guess that was the highlight of my weekend. It's quite a highlight, I must say. And so getting here Monday morning, good morning. There's somebody called Marion Barasa.
Yes.
She's quiet just there in the corner. She thinks we've not seen her, and that she assumes that because we don't talk, we don't say that we've not seen her. Marion, we've seen you.
Have you seen Marion's eyes? Beautiful.
Very she looks like a doll.
Yeah.
But dolls were like made in the likeness of human beings.
Yeah.
So, that's what we are saying. He says like Helen of Troy, her beauty that launched 1,000 ships. Hey, I could go on and on. Anyway, so poetry this morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is the Situation Room. Mutanu, good morning. We already confirmed. You need to tell us where Aseto went over the weekend. Is that your shags or is somewhere else?
Mutanu.
Tell us. There's another Barasa, and her name is Joy B. There are two Barasas in the house this morning. So welcome, everybody, and welcome as we turn these things through in our conversations this morning. Karibuni Sana, thank you for being with us this morning into the Situation Room after a couple of days away, but there are many things that will fuel our conversations. And so Karibu Sana, and thank you for being with us in the room today. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And a very good morning to our audience on KTN. Wherever you're tuned in, around the country, the region, and the world, this is the Situation Room. We will comfort the afflicted and we will afflict the comfortable. We will have those conversations that maybe some people don't want to have, or look into those areas where people are not comfortable. If it makes the people better, that's what we're going to do. So in line with that, the number of conversations that we'll have today, and so let me let you in on what some of those are. We can see you coming into the room. We'll say hello to you in just a minute. So keenly into what our conversations will be today. We'll start off at 7 o'clock and we will talk with the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency, that is John Kaguchia. The finance bill aftermath, who stood for Kenyans is the question. First of all, establishing what did Kenyans want? Yep. And was that represented in what the final vote meant? That this was a critical bill that needed discussion. Of course, it went through the first and second readings, it went through debate, and that House business was closed very quickly. But what did Kenyans want? And if what Kenyans want is represented by the members of Parliament in the National Assembly, what did we see? 349 members of Parliament. How many votes were cast? How many abstained? And how many just didn't bother to show up? Who's showing up for you as your represented member of Parliament? Those are some of the questions that we'll be asking and the conversation that we'll have this morning with the Member of Parliament at 7 o'clock. Now, there's an El Nino warning, and we're being told that Kenya's bread basket is going to take a hit, not from the deluge of rain, but from the lack thereof, and that it's not raining quite enough for Kenya's bread basket to flourish. Emmanuel Atamba is a program director, Food Systems Transformation, TMG Research. Okisegere Ojapet is the president and CEO of the Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya. We're going to be talking about Kenya's dwindling food basket. Now, when we hear it, it might sound like an academic bore, but the truth of the matter is that if your food basket has taken a hit, that's a serious conversation that we need to have. And we're going to get into that at 8 o'clock with these two gentlemen. It's important that we do. Where's the food going to come from? Is Kenya going to continue being a net importer of food? If you're a net importer of food, then you have to be asking yourself certain questions. That should you be focusing on grand infrastructure when you cannot feed your people? We'll have some of those conversations at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, it is Monday, so we will talk to dear Mr. President, and we'll be in line with some of the things that we see on the headlines this morning. But in addition to this goon thing, I feel like it's a gnat that you just need to take some, what is that stuff that you spray on insects?
Insecticide.
Insect repellent, whatever the case may be. Yeah. That's goon repellent. Somebody needs to make it.
Let me tell you.
Put it in a bottle.
Yeah. Like we need to have a goon dip. You know the way you have a cattle dip and you get rid of ticks.
And when you come out of the other side, you've repented. Because what the hell?
Yeah, you just need to baptize them in that dip. Because it's a lot of nonsense, honestly.
Mr. President, you need to put a pin in it. This one does not look good. And if people are very, very openly using goons, whether to beat people up, whether to eat in their restaurants and not pay, whether to
further your agenda.
Yeah, come on. If that's happening now, June 2026, what is going to be happening by June 2027? And, be called the harbingers of doom or whatever the case may be. But what you see today is likely what you're going to see tomorrow.
True.
So nip it in the bud, sir. It's along that we will be talking about with you, dear Mr. President. Is he back?
He is.
He's back.
Yesterday I was in State House. There was
Indeed he was. That's where he was speaking
St. John ambulance, I think 85th parade or something.
Yes. Yeah. I remember. He is. So he's back. So this one, you have an entire ministry of internal security. An entire ministry.
Yeah, with cabinet secretary.
Yes, and the PS.
Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen.
And the PS. Are you under that? The entire police service sits under this ministry,
including NIS intelligence.
Yeah, buana. You mean to tell me that some goons who are hired by some people you can't find them?
Buana. With all the sophisticated equipment, all these cameras around.
If you know that I had a cup of coffee at 4:37 yesterday, surely you can find these people.
True.
Come on. So that's what we're going to be talking about with you, Mr. President, at 9 o'clock today, amongst other things. And I'm sure that as we go through the newspaper review, you will understand what amongst these other things will be. So we'll look at some of those. That's what our conversations look like this Monday morning. It's the 22nd of June. Yes, it is. 8 days left in this month. And Kimani Korea is the member of parliament for Molo constituency.
You heard him?
He made a sign with his hands and basically said, wakijaribu
kuguza mali ya mwananchi ama ya serikali.
2 years ago walinichomea nyumba, walifanya sijui nini na nini na nini, lakini nikasema sawa. Lakini wa protest, lakini wakijaribu kuguza mahali ya watu, tutawa sha. I don't know what that means.
This is the point where I say, Kang. NCIC, where are you?
Haro.
EACC, ethics. Mko? DCI, investigations. Police, maintain law and order.
The irony was not lost on me that immediately he said that, he said, Bwana Wasafio. And I was like,
Sana.
I was like, okay. You're going to chang them and then bless them in the name of the Lord? I think we need to be very careful the things that we say. Because, and also, these are influential individuals who then have influence over the people that they're speaking to, whether you like it or not. So I don't know, in the moment, it's like, like when you're inebriated, when you can't really remember what you said. Was that a moment for the Molo MP?
It's utter disgusting. If you look at the influence this man has, he's the person who was in charge of literally going through the budget that this country today is talking about. So talk about his influence and the things he says in public.
So when he says tutashare, who is that? Who
else? It's you and I.
No. Who is going to do it?
Who is going to do it?
Yeah.
Definitely, he knows. Good industry is a reality, my dear.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
good
this
industry
thing
is a reality. Because it was easy for him to say, I call upon the police officer to ensure that there is security, even when demonstrators go there to do what? To provide security both for the demonstrators and for other Kenyans who are going about their business.
Oh yeah, I'm not happy.
We should apply for communication jobs to these individuals.
They need
to sort out their communication because
But maybe that's what he really feels. Maybe he really feels that anybody who's out protesting and may, move left needs to actually be met with their maker sooner than they would have been intended.
Okay.
I don't know, but it doesn't bode well.
He's not Pilate to make such decisions.
Exactly. Well, even Pilate washed his hands. Pontius Pilate washed his hands in front of the entire group. So he said, I'm not responsible for this man's death. Exactly. So some of the stuff we're looking at this morning, and that's what it's going to look like. All right. Yeah. I'm not quite sure, but where are you taking us this week, sir?
We are in a country that has the second highest point in the continent. Has an equator that runs through it. Cuts the country through two. Has one thing that is called Great Rift Valley, where Lion King was shot.
Okay.
You know what country you're talking about?
Kenya.
Yes. It has what again? world's largest permanent desert lake, which is Lake Turkana. Wildlife, our national animal is...
What's your national animal?
Lion, coat of arms.
Kenya's national animal is the lion.
Yeah. Simba.
Okay.
Yes.
Did not know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
All right. Yeah, so 8% of the land in Kenya is actually meant for conservation for animals and their sanctuary.
Really?
We could have a conversation around that.
We could.
But based off what is on paper, that's what is meant to be. But today, our proverb actually comes from the central part of the country, and to be specific, is in central Kenya. Odhuriwa itoga dunugaga.
Dunugaga to you too.
Dunugaga. So a rich man's fat does not stink.
Oh, hang on. What did you just say? Which other language was that? That's Kikuyu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Odhuriwa itoga dunugaga. A rich man's fat does not stink. Case in point, Kimani Kuria.
In this case, this one stinks to high heaven. I don't know. It's just the assumption. Maybe it's a proverb of assumption that once you've reached a certain level of wealth or attained a certain place in society, that things are left for other human beings to deal with. You don't have to worry about your physiological or other issues, that you've attained wealth, so you're on another level of achievement or self... what Maslow's hierarchy of needs? The top was self-attainment. There's the word actualization.
Yes.
That's the word. So you've reached probably at some point. It's these people who can decide that, well, you know what, I'm going to pack up my things and get on a yacht and, fly sail around the world. This person is not looking for ugali.
Nope.
Do you understand?
No.
So you're not worried about these other things because you can handle it.
Yeah.
So it could be a place where you or it could actually get us to see that the opposite is true. That whether you have achieved a certain level, you still are a human being.
Yeah.
So
I look at it from the point where you look at even how our political class behaves. Yeah, we call it political bad behavior, right? But it's being excused because of their wealth. So a wealthy person is allowed to do nonsensical things because they're just wealthy. So they will come to your funeral, your burial ceremony. They come play their politics, and that's okay with them. Because what? They are the big man with the money.
Well, I mean, C.S. Mbadi said something like, sorry.
Yes.
FCPA. John Mbadi said, I'm already rich. Do you understand? Exactly. I mean, I'm already rich.
Yeah.
He's real.
Yeah. Okay. So you give an excuses to a lot of nonsense out there simply because they can come around with 500 shillings every other time. Yeah. Interesting to see how many will interpret that.
Indeed. It'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. All right, let's take a minute at 6:25 to say a very good morning to you. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, like I said earlier. Find us across these platforms, and a very good morning. Even if you're getting to us from around the world, different parts, and so now the phone has decided that it wants to shout, but it's okay. Wherever it is that you're tuning in, tell us where you're tuning in this Monday morning. Yes, in case you didn't know, the month of June has come to an end real quick. And even with those 8 days left, let's hear from you in terms of, how you intend to start the week. We don't take it for granted that you join us here every morning. So a quick one just to say hello. Peter Chiari says, good morning from Mombasa. Some days you'll feel like you're sinking, but remember, the deepest seas hold the most precious pearls. Ivi, true. Sawa, not every day is the same. Robert Tobogo says, good morning from Mombasa. Agutso Gembo says, good morning. Tuned in this morning. Karibu, Karibu. Rahim Tula Omar says, good morning from Nairobi. Nduh, a few days to June 25th. Indeed. That day for me is just crazy because it was a day for the protest and so many people died. Yeah. Died, and it was just what looked like a turning point for a lot of cases. It's also my birthday. And so on that day, I was just like, oh, God. Why today? Why? Whitney Houston died on my birthday. Michael Jackson died on my birthday. Protest people. What is it with people dying on my birthday? Anyway, a few days to that.
Michael Jackson and Whitney.
Imagine.
Just reminded me of my friend, Dennis Kidagesa. Loved Whitney to death.
Oh yeah?
God. Even his burial, it's just Whitney.
She was quite something. I don't know that the world has been greeted with a voice quite like that. In the way in which it was built.
Yeah.
I mean, yep. And of course, I mean, there are very many, but she was quite something. Desmond Oti says, the gallery of first 6 lies. Where? I don't even know to Tanza Wapi, but wait for the headline. Izakale, you might want to get your glass ready. Yakundi Manuel says, good morning, Team Spice. Goons everywhere. That Kurosoi thing is worrying. It is worrying, my friend. It is not... Jeez, I don't know, but this is what we're going to be talking about. And, you know, our producer EVE picked up on that really quickly and said, Hapana, this one, nope, can't let it go. We've mentioned it here and there, but that we need to have a conversation about it, yes, we absolutely do. Nduh looks good in my... Thank you very much. Nduh looks as if you turned 18 yesterday. I did. Hello, Princess Nduh and Aseto. How does money factored into the emergency and critical fund now that it's operational for accident victims, the gaslighting in this nation is on stories? I'm not quite sure what you meant, Leo, but how does the money for the critical and emergency fund get there? It comes from the exchequer. I'm not sure what your question is on that, though. Red Fiery Red says, good morning. Happy New Week. Asante Sana. We'll go with burgundy, we'll go with maroon, we'll go with magenta, all colors. You know, they said, it's not me who said, but they said that the people who are able to look at different colors on the spectrum and tell that there's a difference in them actually are geniuses. Okay. I present to you
a genius. Case closed.
That's why I like you. We don't even have to go very far. We just finish one time. Move. Good morning, Team Spice. Happy New Week. David Kahindi says, good morning. Kenya should remain united, hardworking and hopeful for a brighter future. I agree. Ivan Omonde says, the blind ombudsman tuned in from Kitengela. Good morning. Good morning from Malindi Kwachocha, says Clement Ochola. How did the government arrive at the amount to be given to the victims of the protests? This is a good question. I don't know. 2 billion I don't know. I'm not sure. Good morning, Team Spice, our Spice family, kins and friends. Good morning to you. Papa Ogutu says, good morning. Nakuru, Nairobi Highway, early morning, smooth ride all the way. Our Nakuru girls are one-time period, really. Okay. Bernardo Gamba says, good morning. Listening from many political voices, including Honorable Mboyi, whom he hosted last week. Methinks the budget is pro-common mwananchi because they have failed to point its flaws. Okay. Ngala mue haki yake mpe.
Yeah.
Okay, sawa. Mwangi Juma says, good morning, Spice. How are you all this blessed Monday? Who bewitched? What bewitched Kenya? Bad breaking news is our daily dose for wakulima at Gikomba Poleni. You know what? I'm going to say something bad. It's going to sound terrible. But you know what? I hope this is the last fire at Gikomba. I hope they don't put it back again. Let this be the last time people's property was burnt. May they not go and try to re-erect their businesses. It sounds like I'm saying people, you know what? They've lost too much, too many times. It's almost like a clockwork. Snap your fingers, open your eyes, and there's a fire at Gikomba. I hope they don't put up their structures again. That they may find somewhere else to go. What kind of devilish behavior is that?
Telling it was around almost 1 p.m. and the fire was still
blazing. Oh, these people have lost too much. They burn, they build. They burn, they build. They burn, they build. It's like every quarter, expect a Gikomba fire. I'm telling you, talk about resilience. I hope this is the last time. The insult is enough.
True.
The loss is enough. Those are people who have families waiting for them. They're running businesses. Then you burn it down. For what? And then you want to tell me that it's not political? You want to tell me that there's no alternative agenda? These are human beings.
There's someone behind it.
Come on.
There has to be someone behind it.
I hope it is the last time. I hope they don't go back. I pray that God grants them the grace and fortitude to go and set up elsewhere. This is enough. Let them have their skunk and eat it if they want it. But let them not continue going back to be abused and insulted every day at Gikomba. It is enough.
It is enough.
Haba. Since I came to this country, I've been hearing Gikomba fire. It is enough. Let them get somewhere else and may God give them that grace. It is enough. Haba. What is it? Nashan Gogi says, good morning, Nduh and Dennis. Hoping for a wonderful week ahead. It's time the entire world tell how to a promised land that we want peace and not everything revolves around them. Sindio.
Kabisa.
Vincent says, good morning, tuning in from Nakuru. Willie Kitala says, good morning, Spice team. Great day indeed, but painful for the traders at Gikomba. So sad indeed. Very, very. Prince Alvin says, good morning. SpiceFM. It's crazy. Ruto giving hundreds of millions to Red Cross and only 200K to Mishi Girls victims. Kimiak. Good morning. Nothing beats enjoying your morning tuned into the Situation Room. A wonderful Monday morning to remind you all that nothing good will come out of the Kenya Kwanza government. Good morning.
I hope you enjoyed your run.
Kimiak, good morning, my dear.
Good morning.
Yes. Drift Session says, good morning and happy new week. Last week full of H1 made be rewarding. Collins Mungai says, good morning, Indian team. Streaming from the UAE. My country, Kenya, is weeping right now. Theft and corruption are the core pillars of this regime. Isaac Ali says, sometimes I lie awake, wondering what I'm still dreaming. Whether we're citizens of a republic or unpaid extras in a political reality show. It sounded like the beginning of a song there, Isa. I know. The parliament sits and somehow I end up with more questions than answers, unfortunately. Right. Luhimba says, good morning, my favorites people. Good morning to you. You're tuned in from Dar this morning and lovely to have you. SpiceFM has become a religion to me. Keep awakening us, my good people.
Praise
Thank
God,
you for being. Amen.
Bless you. There
you go. Pastor Dennis is doing the business. Yeah. Okay, so many of you in the room this morning. Let's get through it quickly. Bernard Kiniti says, good morning. Can you see the narrative that Duale was pushing? Oh, Mandamano will happen in Mlima. 43-1 being pushed by very high politicians. I cry for my country. Greetings from Juja Farm, a.k.a. Mount Kilimanjaro. The Commonwealth Games trials at Nyayo was colorful indeed.
True.
Jennifer Tenyi says, hi, my people. Good morning. Where have you been? She said, where's our friend Joe? Well, he was here on Friday. Maybe this country confuses me. Who can even believe anything that comes from our good president? Sad. Oh, yeah. Bwangi says, hi, Spice FM. If Mr. Murkomen and Mr. Raymond Omolo are busy in women's empowerment drive, who's taking care of the Kenyan security? That's a good question.
Yourself. Taking care of yourself.
You're taking care of yourself, my friend. Yeah. You're taking care of yourself. Good morning from Nairobi, says G. Kenyan. And Bernard Ogamba says, Ekehusi. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Everton says, good morning, Team Spice. Fathers are back to factory settings. The list of requirements are back. This life no balance. Well, it was a wonderful Father's Day. Judy Mokwa, you're right. She died on the 11th of February, not in June. You're right, Whitney Houston. Very good morning to you. Good from Wakama says, good morning from Dublin. It was Michael Jackson who died on the 25th of June. Why is one time so quick to lead the nation into a globalist agenda with these 15-minute cities? Next time we'll be here in the Western world. Own nothing and be happy. Okay, putting those thoughts together. Yeah. Tuning from Stockholm is Frank Odhiambo. And Kim Peter says, tuning from Cape Breton Island. Loving you as always. From the proverb, I'd liken it to a rich man's foolishness is called eccentricity. That word with the many C's. Yeah. A poor man's is called madness. Not my birthday yet. Frank Odhiambo, very good morning to you. Joe Mungai, you've said it in Kikuyu. A rich man has no flaws, is what we say, or what we would ascribe to. Good morning, tuned in. Amakoy and Andrew Chira says, arise and shine. The governor of Nairobi knows about Gikomba, and once Gikomba gone, you all know watu wa biz ni nani. There's a pregnant silence because wow. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being in the room this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break and see what's happening in the air and the skies, and then we're going to ground. Then we'll come back and look at what's going on in the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
13 degrees and cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see a high of 21. It's 12 and partly sunny in Nakuru and 12 and mostly cloudy looking into Njeri. 19 and clear in Kisumu, while Kakamega is clear at 15. It's 22 in Mombasa this morning and 25 in Malindi. 16 and sunny into Marsabit, while at 20 it's clear in Kampala. It's clear, mostly sunny at 20 in Dar es Salaam. 9 degrees and cloudy in Johannesburg, while at 25 it's cloudy into Lagos. 18 and clear in London, and 28 and sunny in Beijing. And Sunday night is partly cloudy at 28 in New York.
own spice. Spice up your life. Traffic.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
Already looking like a little bit of a busy Monday morning. There is traffic is starting to pile up on the Thika Superhighway as you come in from that Royal interchange, crossing over towards the northern bypass, beg your pardon. And there's some of that also coming off of Kiambu Road this morning, and it's going to join with traffic then through Muthaiga Square, then out on towards Pangani at the Pangani underpass, and then through towards Muranga Road proper. Apart from that, doesn't look like too much is happening just now. There is a bits and bob of traffic starting to form along Gong Road, but then apart from that, not much happening just yet. A little bit of traffic also on North Airport Road as you get towards Embakasi. In and outbound traffic starting to build there as well. Still slim pickings this morning. Let's see what happens as we progress into the day. SpiceFM KE on X hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide, inside from Chloride Oxide.
Turn up the heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a Star Times decoder at any of our deal shops countrywide. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If you're just tuning in at 20 minutes to 7 o'clock, we're taking a look into the headlines on the Situation Room this Monday morning, the 22nd of June. Dennis Aseto and Nduh with you this morning. And as we get into it, let me tell you what's on the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. In 6 months. Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not in 6 months of the Gregorian guy in calendar, no. This is Kenyan 6 months.
There's a picture of the President of Kenya, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. Political bait is what this headline is called. Rather, the sub is, it is never 6 months, just a litany of broken promises. I'm going to read some of those in 6 months. Okay. It's what's on the headline. Kamarini Stadium, August 2023. In 6 months' time, the stadium in Kamarini in West Pokot, which is historic, will be complete. Not that we will start work, will be complete. I don't know anybody in Kamarini this morning, but if there's anybody in Kamarini, would you be able to tell us now whether the completion of the stadium has actually occurred?
I have a question. This is the second 6 months. Because the first 6 months was when he was deputy president under Uhuru Kenyatta government. So it was the second 6 months.
You reckon that there is, like in a murder criminal case, so you cannot be tried for one case twice. It's called double jeopardy. Do you reckon that that's the same? Okay, sorry. Do you need to not make your thoughts words?
No.
I'm just thinking, but that's just the first one.
That's the first one, yeah.
750 kilometers of new roads, February 2025. Last week, this was in February 2025, and then he said, and I quote, last week I was in northern Kenya, and I announced a major road. Ndio barabara itoke Mandera, ikuje Ramu, ikuje Gare, ikuje Elwak, ikuje Kobo, ikuje pale Kotulo, ikuje Tarbat, ipitie hapa Wajir, iende Samatan, iteremke Modogashe, ifike Isiolo, iende Nairobi. Imeenda?
Mi bado niko Kotulo.
Oh, but Haijaenda?
Haijaanza.
Oh, that was in February 2025. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try another one. December 2nd, 2025. This one I like personally.
Yes, me too.
All chiefs will receive digital tablets within 6 months. Ebu Esabu. January,
It's now. Should be saying it
February,
now.
March, April, May, June.
June
2026.
June
26.
2026.
It should have been now. All chiefs in 6 months' time for electronic reporting and for filing reports on a digital platform so that we can have a national database and increase our response time. Come on.
Can I shock you?
Michael Jackson would have said, come on. Michael Jackson,
Can I make it happy for you?
Eh.
Do you know even police officers who have digital tablets do not use it?
Oh, okay.
You know why? Ai.
Kuna bundles.
Mkiweka kwa digital nitaweka pesa wapi?
Kuna bundles. Bundless. Those are just 3. Tusonge. All right. Gikomba market redevelopment.
Yes.
This could actually be one promise that is true.
True.
Because if there's a development meant to happen, that means you need to remove what's there. And perhaps that's what's going on. Ama? April 9th, 2026. This was just 2 months ago. We are going to transform Gikomba. And in the next 6 months, we will see another market. We will build a 3-floor market in Gikomba in a record 6 months. That is phase 1, which will cost 800 million shillings. April plus 6 is October. So it will be complete.
Yeah.
The 3 floors will be complete October. All right.
We are in June. So that's 2 months in.
Oh, he made the promise in April.
So we're 2 months in. So he has 4 months to go.
Right.
So in 2 months we should have seen excavation, groundworks. Anyway, 6 months, October.
Stop laughing. Now the next one.
Let me read it for you.
In my heart. This one.
Nduh's 1 million chapatis. That was promised on March 11th, 2025. So that's a year plus. Now, Governor Sakaja has requested that chapatis be included in the Dishi na County program. He wants a machine capable of making 1 million chapatis per day. And I have agreed to his request. Chapati lifika?
Sasa mimi nauliza. In this March 2025, walikuwa wanasema kesho ama it was supposed to come when? I don't understand. Ndio tudishi kwa county.
Sijali.
Najali.
We're still waiting for chapati machine to come.
Things of the stomach you do not joke with.
You don't joke around with.
No, please.
Yeah.
So,
not get your frustrations.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Haba, it's not fair now.
It's not.
How can I? Anyway, you make me come all the way, then I fall in love with the thing. Then I don't care if it was for the kids in the school. Even
you just
me.
Want chapati.
Hey, boy, the kids in the school will not finish one chapati, 1 million chapatis in a day.
Chapati industry, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've not finished the promises.
We've not finished. Let's go.
Ending water crisis, October 20th, 2025. This was on. What's the name of that day that's celebrated on the 20th? Oi. Mashujaa Day. He was in Kitui,
Ukambani, hapa juu.
Yes. Lower
Ukambani.
And he said the government will end, not sort, end the water crisis in Ukambani. The mega Thwake Dam will be completed by May 2026.
We're in June. So we've given him an extra month.
No. Okay, so we've given him an extra month.
Yeah.
It's now 22nd of 2026, June. Is the Thwake Dam finished? Excuse me. Mutanu. Is the Thwake Dam finished? The stalled Umar Dam in Kitui, which has been under construction for 15 years, will finally be completed by April 2026. Hello? Hello? Is this thing working?
Samahani,
This one now is real time.
Yeah, it's real time.
Is it completed? Thwake Dam, is it completed?
And the Umar
Dam, they said, wait, May, April, which comes first? April was supposed to be Umar. Then May was Thwake. Nyaje?
That song you're doing May, April.
January, February. It was sung by Bunny M. March, April, May, June, July.
In your dreams.
Nabado tujamaliza.
Tuendelee.
Corruption.
Hey, how's that?
Cases. Resolution. In July 2024, on the 26th specifically, and I quote, the government will ensure cases are resolved within 6 months, and it will no longer be possible for corrupt people to use orders to avoid charges or delay justice.
So that ought to have been in January 2025.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, the court gave an order.
Yes.
In this case, it was conservatory.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Ask.
Did they comply?
Where?
Oh, okay.
Where?
So that 6 months was 6 months for Saturn. The planet where we do time stand still.
We ought to have ended that corruption business in January of 2025. It is still in 2026 when you arrested someone with 65 million bob in the house.
Yeah.
Remember?
You're in Ndache, by the way.
Yeah.
What's going on there? The people who were found with money, according to UKPC, who then were sacked.
Yeah.
And they were found with hundreds of millions. Bandonauliza. What happened to them? What happened to that story? Am I your story?
They had 500 million, That's half a B.
That's right.
Okay.
We're not talking about that anymore?
We still don't have chapati machine,
Wait, don't now start trying to annoy me this morning.
That's where we are as a country. That's where we're at.
We're going to look into that just a little bit. We're going to combine that with the goon story at 9 o'clock because what? Yeah. It's not our words. I'm reading what it was said. Land cartels, and we're now moving to page 2. That was just the front page.
Yeah.
Land cartels and goons keep a tight grip on Kirima's 1,000 acres in the city. Let me tell you, excuse me, succession is important.
Yeah.
Put your things in order. Because anything can happen any day. You see this business? The man has been late for a long time.
True.
And people are still fighting over his spot because he didn't make it clear what was going to happen. Ruto is to sign the finance bill as youth tensions rise. He said you can go ahead. He said it. Raymond Nomolo said it. Kimani Kuria said it. You people can protest, do whatever you want. However, there are things you're not supposed to guza.
Yeah.
Coco.
I'm going to sign it.
He's going to sign the bill. It's going to go into it's happening. So that's already done and dusted. It's tomorrow, actually. Father's Day. Men speak out on silent crisis of neglect and pressure. I felt this, that actually some really, really good friends of mine who said, Nduh, you just don't know how bad it is for us.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can go into days and not just one day on the 21st of June when we celebrate Father's Day, but that we can actually really help our men to be in a comfortable space when they speak about what's going on with them. I personally will make sure that I do that with every fiber of my being.
Hug that man today.
Please.
Tell them they're doing well.
Just the hug is okay for today. Yeah. To eat or not to eat, the science and politics of Lake Nakuru fish. Are we not eating Lake Nakuru fish? Why?
Yeah, they said it's not fit for human consumption.
Wololo yeah. A report showed that sampled fish contained high levels of chromium and nickel. Sounds like something that it makes up Superman. I don't think you want to be eating that in your fish. Residents have said they've been eating the fish for almost 7 years without any known harm. But that's the thing about some of these diseases. There will be years of then suddenly boom, and you're not going to be able to trace it too. So now if they've tested it and they said they don't eat, guess what, guys? Let's not eat. Tafadhali.
But I think even as we talk about that, let's look at what has made that water be like that, to have high levels of chromium, and fix that. Because remember, those who are fishing this because that is an economic venture. So how then can the government step in, sort that problem, and have the people do their business?
On the money.
True.
You're right. Traders suffer huge losses in Gikomba fire. This is probably one of the worst ones ever.
True.
And from what we're being told, because like you said, that fire was raging for hours.
And 2 people died.
Yeah, 2 people died, unfortunately. May their souls rest in peace. But this is crazy, worth millions of shillings. The inferno started around 4 a.m. engulfed stalls and merchandise as they watched helplessly. You know what? This fire didn't start itself, guys.
No.
This fire did not start itself. It's another thing that if you don't get down to the bottom of it, you're going to have a problem. Now, if you thought that the front page of the Standard gave you a bit of a headache, I urge you to get your copy of the Standard because now we are going on to 2 whole pages of promises. A 6-month promise broken, how Ruto's deadlines have failed to match delivery. It's the reality. This is Things that he said. Nobody's making it up.
True.
It's not the magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. These are things that he actually said. So me, I just want to know two things. Chapati machine iko wapi, number one. Number two, this Thwake and Uma Dam that they said was going to be finished by April and May 2026. Are they finished? Can somebody tell me actually, really, on a serious note, can somebody tell us if maybe they're finished and we're just here pontificating for nothing?
Yeah.
So
if they're done, let us know.
Absolutely.
Let us know. I mean, there is also the most promised project ever, that bridge. Nithi
Bridge. See it.
Yeah.
You guys, there's a surge of HIV infections amongst young people. And I'm going to be raw. Well, I don't know if that's the best word to use. But okay, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But don't. Thank you.
Strap it, man.
If you are going to do this risky behavior, at least, at the very least, I would say don't be involved in risky behavior. But at the very least, please protect yourself. Come on.
Yeah.
14,000 new cases of HIV in the last year, and the majority of them were amongst young people. Come on. It's not cool to not protect yourself. It's actually dumb.
Strap it, man.
Yeah, come on. In fact, we can get angry. I don't care. Heat of the moment, blah, blah, stop it. Just don't. Or you'd rather just stay without. Yes, I said it. How bandwidth is outgunning bandits in the North Rift. Okay. Nairobi tops as a new revenue plan hands counties 428 billion shillings windfall. There have been questions about who's going to get, that share. But that's what it looks like. Joseph Nyaringo has penned his opinions today. Democracy across the world is only on paper and billboards. And Clarice Wabua and Nicole Gachagua talk about what new climate regulations mean for developers and investors. That's what it looks like in the standard pages today. And also looking into the sports pages, the World Cup continues. There's a story there in the health and science pages, which we know. And I know that you touch on some of these things in your show, Dennis.
Yeah.
But this is a lady who says she sold her eggs so that her son would survive. And the survival we're talking about is eating food to live. So that's the thing, apparently. And we're looking into from factory floor to World Cup star. That's the story that we're looking at there. But the World Cup continues. Germany into the World Cup last 32 after late comeback. Results at the World Cup Group E in Toronto. Germany beats Cote d'Ivoire 2-1. Ecuador and Curacao at 0 each as a draw there. The Netherlands whitewashed Sweden 5-1. And Tunisia was hit by Japan 4-0. So it looks like we're going into the round of 16,
Egypt
not too far from now.
just beat New Zealand 3-1.
3-1 this morning.
Yeah, this morning.
Yep, that's what it looks like in terms of the World Cup. A story that you want to look at, Mr.?
Why don't we just look into the 6 months?
Go ahead.
Promise. So that is in page 6. With certainty, assurance and a sense of finality, President William Ruto speaks in deadlines, but more often than not, once the thunderous applause fades, the development promises remain hollow. Just another round of political bait, from dams that have not seen a drop of water to stadia that cannot hold crowds. The list of broken pledges grows with each passing term. The Standard team reveals these now. When President William Ruto took the oath of office on September 13th, 2022, he inherited a nation grappling with soaring cost of living, devastating drought, and a weary citizen. On the campaign trail, he had positioned himself as the solution, a decisive leader who would not keep Kenyans waiting. Now, his trademark promise, repeated on podiums nationwide, was simple. In 6 months, you will see the difference. Now, years into his term, a different narrative has taken root, from teachers awaiting promotions and footballers awaiting chasing bonuses to stalled markets and dams that exist only on paper. A pattern of deadlines missed and pledges unfulfilled has emerged. This is the ledger of those promises, documented, dated and anchored in the public record. So on September 13th, 2025, President Ruto invited teachers' unions to State House. During the meeting, he issued a directive that teachers would be given one additional job group, and the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers left the meeting optimistic. 6 months later, on March 29, 2026, Kuznets Secretary General James Torome stood before the press in Mbita sub-county with a message that the directive had not been implemented and not a single teacher had received the promised promotion or the salary increment that would have accompanied it. So that is, together with on the market promise, perhaps no single example captures the frustration of the launch and leave governance better than Githurai Market area MP Gathonio Mushomba was until recently one of the most vocal critics of Ruto's development track record. Now, the last time he appeared in my constituency, he came with a lot of force and launched the market, what Mushomba said during a TV interview in September 2025. The day he left, the contractor left. And to date, the foundation stone that he laid is still there, not an inch moved. That is together with everything else that we just touched on.
You know what?
Yep.
Basi, do one.
Do one.
That's what I say. Maybe these things are too many.
Yeah.
You see this story for Mandera, ikuje Ramu, ikuje Gare, ikuje Elwak, ikuje Kobo, ikuje pale Kotulo, ikuje Tarbat, ipitie hapa Wajir, iende Samatan, iteremke Modogashe, ifike Isiolo, iende Nairobi. Si iende tu, itoke Mandera, iende tu Ramu. Hiyo tu. Wacha tu, iende tu Ramu.
At least a section. Makes sense.
Just start there.
Start there.
Leave all these other things. I'll even relinquish the chapati. Yeah. Leave it. Leave.
Just Mandera go to Ramu. Bus.
Hiyo tu. Alafu ukuje na watu wote, our bloggers, everybody come chukue piga picha sema ona Mandera mpaka Ramu imefika. Then now you move. Do you understand? But now if you're everywhere saying everything, well, it makes you look bad.
You know, the greatest promise perhaps that has not been fulfilled is the one on affordable housing, because we were told how many houses? It was 250,000 units
per year.
Right? So that would have meant in 4 years, those ought to have been almost a million houses, right? How many have we done? It's almost 3,000 units. But is there one that is fully complete? Mukuru.
Yeah.
So Mukuru is complete. At least there's a complete project. See? Tumetafuta tukapata.
Lakini haikuwa yake.
But not 250,000 units as promised. So one asks, where is the responsibility on fulfilling the promised lie?
Mukuru haikuwa yake.
Sorry, bas. So in short, hakuna.
It's 7 o'clock.
Strand Ramu.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has issued a stern warning to protesters against inciting violence during the Gen Z protests, or march rather, expected to take place this Thursday, stressing that police officers will deal with those who disrupt the peace. Speaking in Uasin Gishu County, Kindiki also accused the opposition of spreading propaganda against the 2026 finance bill, despite the removal of controversial and heated debates.
Wenye kuleta hii kutisha hii walikuwa wanasingizia mswada wa fedha. Sasa mswada wa fedha hauna chochote ambacho kinaweza kuzungumziwa. I wonder what else is making those who had called for those protests to continue. Mimi nataka niseme anyway, ile mambo yao wanataka kufanya wafanye, lakini hakuna kuumiza wananchi. Hii Kenya, kila mwananchi amelindwa na serikali, amelindwa na sheria. And this is not supposed to be a threat. It's not supposed to be a joke. That is what is going to happen on Thursday. Na mimi naongea ikiwa naibu wa rais wa Kenya, na ujue zamani nilikuwa waziri wa usalama wa taifa. So I know what I am saying. So on Thursday there will be no monkey business anywhere in the Republic of Kenya. Na hakuna mtu atatisha sisi.
Uasin Gishu Senator Jackson Menago, on his part, has called on the opposition to stop the June 25th protests, calling them unnecessary.
Now that they were not able to point to any section of the bill with anything offensive to the people of Kenya, we also want them to do an honorable thing and call off the maandamano they are saying they are planning. Because that maandamano has no agenda, has no complaint, has nothing. We want to tell them that if they want to seek government, waende kwa raia watafute kura. Hata hii ya Olkalau, Your Excellency, kama ulilete ile ya Mbere, hii ya Olkalau ni light duty. Maliza kama wewe.
Elsewhere, Siaya Governor James Orengo is now urging President William Ruto to reconsider his decision to approve the 2026-2027 finance bill, arguing that it was not passed with the support of a majority of MPs. Speaking in Kisumu, Orengo thanked MPs who voted against the bill, claiming that most of them were not present in Parliament during the voting procedure.
The majority of the members of Parliament voted by their feet. They were not in the House when the vote was being taken. So if you add those numbers, the ones that took off during the vote and the ones who voted against the bill, a minority of members of Parliament actually passed the finance bill. The finance bill is a critical instrument for advancing and implementing government programs. And as you know, those who read history, the American Revolution was based on the mantra, no taxation without representation.
Victims of the anti-government protests have demanded justice and accountability for the atrocities they suffered during the protests. Speaking at a special service at the Nairobi Baptist Church, they stressed the need for the government to conduct a thorough investigation into the incidents and hold those responsible accountable, as well as compensation for the affected families.
On 25th June, I'll be 1 year old with this hand like this. Ndakuwa shujaa, mimi ni shujaa. I'll celebrate that day because I'm alive. What about those families lost their loved ones? What about them?
Personally, from the abductions, I lost my job, of which for the last almost 2 years now, it's been hard even getting back on my feet. So, in as much as this compensation money is not a lot, but it will help reduce the trauma that the families already have.
Though they acknowledged the compensation, there's no amount of compensation can bring life back. Never.
The Seven Kansas Jubilee Party Deputy Leader Fred Matiang'i has strongly opposed the government's plan to use force to quell the Gen Z march scheduled for Thursday this week.
I cannot believe anything the government will tell me that armed people will break into businesses and do all the things they do, and they don't arrest them. You know, every time we have come across a situation like this, the government will say all manner of things. Even members of cabinet will say, oh, we know people are giving money and so on. Why don't you arrest them? There's no one, even I, Fred Matiang'i, I'm not above the law. We are listening for, and they don't do anything about it. It leaves us with only one conclusion. They are complicit. They know what they are doing. That is why, finally, and my fourth point, I am concerned about the threats I have had.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
Because this is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants
a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for everything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante.
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they're just promised, they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you. It's 10 minutes after 7 o'clock and into the second hour of the Situation Room. This Monday morning is the 22nd of June. Dennis Otol Aseto and Nduh with you as we're having conversations. And I know you're all a little bit riled up about maybe things promised or not. We're going to get into that in just a minute. It's also 3 days to the 25th of June. But before we start into having those conversations, the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency will join us in a bit. But we've been powering up our conversations all week.
Yes.
And into a new week of doing the same.
And you see, when you talk about this power, now this is a promise that you can bank on. Yeah? It is a promise that comes with a battery that you're sure is coming with a guarantee of 1.5 months, that is 18 months. It is a battery that once you put it in your car, you're able to enjoy each and every facility that that car has. So, assuming you are driving from here, like when I was going to Kambani, what do? You just navigation and you go, you know, because it's hot. AC has to work. Why? Because the battery assures that happens. It is called, like nowadays, when baby girl was leaving school, what do you do now? Heated steering wheel, heated seats, massage and everything, you know, feeling nice because the vehicle is able to do that. But it's being powered by chloride Exide. Now, they have a battery that is called, under the chloride Exide brand, there is the Exide Matrix, which then ensures that everything is easy and cool. But remember, when you talk about this battery, right, it does not only come with 18 months warranty, but you can also just dial a delivery, dial a battery, someone is going to come in, install it for you, do the diagnostics, reset that battery and pair it together with your vehicle so that you don't have stress. You know, all I'm here to tell you is, as an ambassador of good life, that battery maintains that. And I'm telling you to try it out because you will not lose it and you'll not stress.
I love it. That's what we're looking at. And that's how we're powering up things getting into the week. Karibuni sana. Dial a battery. I love that too.
Dial a battery.
And that's how you can get into it. Okay, so we're getting into our conversation for this hour. And over the weekend, social media, which usually a lot of people will say, look at and say, well, you know, don't count what you see there. Well, a lot of expressions that are, you know, draped in individual truths are actually on socials. And the socials... that folks took a beating over what should have happened on the floor of the House last week on Thursday or on Wednesday, what did or did not happen. To enable us to have that conversation in terms of, so who represented who, the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency joins us this morning to then be able to have that conversation. MP John Kaguchia, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you very much for having me here.
Karibu sana, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
It's noted that your name is on the list of those who voted no to the finance bill. We'll get into the details of that in just a minute. And then what it looks like in terms of representation for Kenya's people. Before that, Dennis takes us to a very interesting country this week where the proverbs are coming from. And he might say... Anyway, let me just allow him to continue.
So today we're in the cradle of mankind, a country that is well known for the Turkana boy, a country that is known for the wild beast migration, also a country that is regarded to have the only existing national park within the city. The city is regarded to be the green city under the sun. We are in Kenya. Beautiful country, right? And we're here because we can now say, Ukuni home. You know, the weather is beautiful, the people are beautiful. But let's go to the proverb. The proverb comes from the central part of the country in Mount Kenya. And it goes like this. I'm going to try not to butcher it. But it says, Odhuri wa itoga dunugaga. A rich man's fat does not stink. How would you interpret it? You can.
I think it's... There's a probably a Swahili one that can easily be discussed on that context. Baniani mbaya kiatu chake dawa. That someone you know, we were talking about the rich Indians who sometimes were not very kind to Africans, but they are the only ones who are selling shoes. Similarly here, there is a rich man who sometimes is not necessarily very friendly. And when I say friendly, it's because why are they farting in front of people or where people are? But again, because they are rich and they are probably the source of hope that you have, you just have to tolerate and just pretend like nothing is happening.
So it's excusing the rich man's bad manners because they have the chums or the paper.
Indeed. So the finance bill went through the first and second reading, and then it went to the floor of the House for debate, and that House business was wrapped up real quick, and that we saw that by 9:30 p.m. on the day last week, it was all done and dusted, and that in a majority, the yes vote to pass the finance bill, taking into consideration a few edits here and there, essentially went through. 122 members of parliament, it's debated between 122 to 127, voted yes to the finance bill. 40 members of parliament voted no. The remaining number of those members of parliament were absent or abstained. Is there an indictment on parliament right now in terms of just showing up? I'm not even talking about the finance bill just yet, because we're going to get into that. is there an indictment of members of parliament for just showing up to represent the people of Kenya?
Indeed, it is. When you are elected, you were supposed to be in the House representing the people, unless there's a very important reason as to why you are not in the House. It's expected that you must represent your people. And the way to represent your people is to be on the floor of the House when the debate is on and make your argument, whether for or against. And again, to be there and present while voting so that you can make a vote. I've realized, though, that we have many members who may not be attending House as often as it should be, and others who are not there to make their contribution. Sometimes for fear of retribution, sometimes for fear of reprimand from their bosses and from the public. So it's an unfortunate situation. I know parliaments across the globe are not always full.
True.
But of course, sometimes they get to be full when they are very, very important debates. This one was one of them. Of course, there are a few members who never show up in the House, and that is why the electorate must also decide when they are making their vote. You must interrogate the member of parliament whom you are electing as to why they are going to the parliament, because some parliamentarians look and seek power so that they can be able to do business. And when they get into power, they exercise that power in their business acumen, and they make sure that they are making as much as possible and never showing up in the House. I know there are some members who only showed up in the Finance Bill 2024, showed up again in Gachagua impeachment, and have not shown up again in Parliament after that. They're there. Okay. They're there. Sometimes I actually wonder how they sign in. Yeah, someone like Sudi. You will never, ever see him in House. Never. I have only seen him in the House when he was being sworn in, never mind with a bit of trouble, when he was voting for Finance Bill, and when he was impeaching Gachagua. There is no other day you'll ever see him, unless he's a ghost. That he appears and disappears without noticing. Because I'm relatively available in the House. I'm not there 100% of the times, but I'm there more than 80% of the times, and I make my arguments on the floor. So that is a challenge, and it's not only Sudi. We have quite a number of members actually. I remember there's a member who passed on recently, and people asking, so who is that?
They all amongst yourself as colleagues? Okay.
Yeah, all the people wanted to see his photo. Yeah, so we have that challenge. And
so what you're saying, I'm sorry, is that actually you're not surprised. You're not surprised that you had less than 50% of the population of members of parliament in the House on the day when the business was to vote towards the finance bill, because they don't show up anyway.
No, this was surprising, because even though they don't show up, you expected to see a better turn up on this day, because apparently
when it was critical,
it was a very critical vote, because this finance bill is seeking to raise so much money for the Kenya Kwanza government. So you would have expected to see the members of Kenya Kwanza government who support the government from across the country. You would have expected to see them there voting.
At least on that day, kind of like how they showed up when, former Vice Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was being impeached.
Exactly. And on the other side, many of us believe that this finance bill contains very, very draconian clauses and very oppressive clauses. And for those of us who believe that, then we ought to have also been there to vote against the bill.
Okay.
But I must say that people who were against this bill were in the House relatively in a good number. I think like 96% or 95% of people who don't follow and do not support some of the policies by William Ruto government were actually in the House. I think there were very few counted numbers of people who were not there, who actually had they had excused themselves to an extent. So we had a bigger number of people who are not supporting or who are not supporting the bill.
What's an excuse that makes sense for somebody to not be in the House when such a critical piece of legislation is before debate?
Well, it depends on the person who is having that excuse. Some people sometimes are out of the country. Others are probably, like I know one member of parliament who was handling a police case. There's a Wanjiko Moher who was being sought by police for some utterances I think she had done sometimes earlier. So we had that, and I know Honorable Njeri had also excused himself that he was having a meeting, he was attending somewhere, I think in Botswana. So, but I think those are the only two members who were to vote against this bill who were not able to be there. But for all the other members who are supporting the bill, we first noticed on Tuesday when this bill was tabled, the members of parliament from Mount Kenya region who support William Ruto did not show up at all, except Ishungwa and Kimani Kuria and Murugara. Those are the only three members who showed up on that day. Then the following day, on Wednesday in the morning, again, they were totally absent, now including Kimani Kuria. The only member who was in from Mount Kenya region was Ishongwa, and I saw the member of parliament from Odhaya, who also did not put his card. So he was not going to make any input. He's seated at the corner at the back and was watching what is happening and what people are saying. And later on, at around 12:48 p.m., when a vote was just about to be taken, I saw members trooping in. Meaning, those members were all along at the cafeteria taking tea. And they were whipped by their whip, Osoro, to come into the house. So we saw them trooping in, making a lot of noise, and of course came and took the vote. And by exactly 1:05, the House was adjourned, awaiting another session at 2:30 p.m.
If I may ask the significance of what you're saying here, is that the very debate around the matters that went into this bill, or the issues, the factors, the elements of this bill, the debate around it then was not properly executed.
It was not.
So people just came and whitewashed it with a vote.
It was not executed because when this vote was being taken at around 12:48, 12:50 to stop the debate, there were so many members who were still very interested to make their contribution in this debate, particularly the members who are opposing, because we were more at this point in time.
And during the second reading?
Yeah, that is, for us now to proceed to the third reading, or to the committee of the whole. Now, we were many who actually wanted to make a contribution. I had been there personally from Tuesday at 2:30. I was there up to the close of day at 6:30, at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, awaiting to make my contribution. I did not get the opportunity. I was there again the following day, and I was next online. And just when I was supposed to now be called to make a contribution, the speaker declared that now we want to stop the debate. And now members were called to come and vote. And they gladly came to vote that we stop any debate on this finance bill. And immediately they left for lunch, and now came later for the committee of the whole. Of course, now I was able to make my voice now in the committee of the whole. I did make several contributions during that time. But at the second reading is when we had sufficient time to ventilate on most of the crucial issues, at least 10 minutes at the second reading. And I felt offended that actually someone came and took a vote, someone who was not in, and then left immediately and denied me the opportunity to make a 10-minute presentation of what I had prepared on issues that I thought were contentious in this bill.
I mean, Kaguchia, that speaks a lot in terms of the leadership of the House, because then one asked the question, at the time when you were there, you had logged in, you had made your request to make your contribution. The speaker, who was in charge at the time, ought to have at least given time to everybody who was on their tablet with their request to participate. But when you talk of individuals who, first of all, were not in the House, were whipped to come in to take a vote, that speaks of a House, first of all, that has a leadership problem. Is that the case, that the leadership of the House has been captured by powers Nobody knows.
I mean, that is not in question. That is not in question. I mean, that is what is happening in the Kenyan parliament today. The leadership of the House is totally in the hands and in the pocket of the executive. And they make their bidding for executive. Sometimes they even make them fool of themselves by how they are overdoing it. Even sometimes, I'm sure when the president is seated in State House, he also wonders, how can someone get this law? And so he is able to control, manipulate, arm twist, and remote control the parliament from where he sits in a way that really makes us very upset and very dissatisfied with that aspect. For example, I could not understand just how the debate was hurriedly stopped. And again, of course, it was done in a dramatic way as to ambush the people who would have wanted to contribute against this bill. And even they were laughing at us. Today we have ambushed you, because there was someone who had been assigned to count us. And they were counting how many members of the opposition are in the House. And the moment they realized the number was about 25 is when now they strike. And of course they were laughing about it. So they were doing this in a dramatic way, in a way that is not right, of course, and they were doing this to ensure that they reduce any discussion and debate by members who are exposing many things that were in this bill that were not right.
Kaguchia, you're saying that almost 25 had been lined up to speak, and that you were denied an opportunity to discuss pretty much the bill at the time. Does it mean, therefore, that proper discourse on this finance bill from pretty much members of the House was denied, that there was no proper engagement and contribution to this bill before getting to the committee of the whole House? It was not only denied, but also obstructed. Even members who did get an opportunity to make their contribution, especially if you're making your contribution against this bill, you were not given time to ventilate onto the issues freely. Anytime a member who was going to make a discussion or a point, they had set people who would object them on points of order, unnecessary, unsubstantiated points of order. On the side, when, for example, people who are seated on the side where we were critiquing this bill, when you stood on a point of order, even when you did mention the point of order that you're standing on, again, you are ignored. But when then, on the other side, they stood on a point of order, which did not even point out which order they were standing on, they were still given an opportunity to go ahead and disrupt. Some of them would even force what they call the point of information. And point of information must be accepted by the person who is being given information. And sometimes we were forced to receive and to get information. Someone like Majority Leader, for example, was making debate on this bill after every 5 minutes. And you wonder, why should this be allowed? I mean, if as a Majority Leader, you make your contribution of 10 minutes. And that should be sufficient. You can't keep on clarifying on the floor of the House after every single member who is opposing this bill stands. And you disrupt them and get other people to disrupt them on the floor. And of course, I saw one of the media houses reporting that the opposition was disorganized. And that is what that is what we have a problem with sometimes with our journalism, because if you are a journalist and you are following what was happening in the assembly, you could tell clearly that there was a cartel between the speakers who are leading this debate, Majority Leader, and then the leadership of the House in general, and a few members whom they had set up from Finance Committee especially, who just stand, waste time, filibuster, and not make any meaningful contribution.
Right.
And this was being done to deny Kenyans information, facts, and impact of the finance bill to their lives in the coming days.
Let's go into some of those facts and the impact of the finance bill, because unfortunately all these theatrics, whereas they may seem like they were a bit annoying to certain people, is part of the game, isn't it? Filibustering and all of this denying folks an opportunity to speak happens everywhere. But had you been given an opportunity to speak, and I do agree that to an extent these theatrics actually do stop important debate from making its way into the open arena. What was your understanding of the finance bill, and what were some things then that were very clear in your mind that would make you vote no?
Let me start by laying some ground on the finance bill so that Kenyans can understand where we are coming from. We passed a budget, or the National Assembly did pass a budget just a week earlier before this finance bill was presented in the House.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you did let your listeners understand how much is in this budget in terms of the total amount of money that is supposed to be spent from this budget. It is 4.8 trillion Kenya shillings. Of course, the highest budget that we have had. How much is being collected, or how much is projected to be collected in terms of revenue from the taxpayers in this budget of 4.8 trillion Kenya shillings? It is 3.6 trillion Kenya shillings. How much are we collecting this year? 2.6 trillion. So what does that tell you? We expect, or the country expects to collect, or Treasury, Finance Minister expects to collect up to 1 trillion extra from what was collected this year in the coming 1 year. Now, that 1 trillion does not include the 1.2 trillion deficit that is in that budget. So first of all, you just understand that that budget has, for all practical reasons, it has a deficit of about 2.2 trillion, not actually 1.2 trillion. We need to understand that. Now, just when this budget has been passed, and it has a hole on revenue, expected and projected revenue of 1 trillion Kenya shillings, then a finance bill is presented, which has cross-cutting measures on how to collect revenue. Don't you see? The government is targeting to collect this 1 extra trillion Kenya shillings using this particular finance bill. Even though what they are declaring, which to me, I believe is deceptive, is 118 billion Kenya shillings. Because I was saying this finance bill is expected to be collecting 118 billion Kenya shillings. But when you look at the budget itself, it tells you a different story. It gives you actually 1 trillion Kenya shillings. So you need to understand this finance bill from that perspective first. And that is a very important foundation for any argument that is made on this finance bill. Now, when we were on the floor of the assembly, you could hear the majority leader and the chairman of finance committee from time to time pointing out that this finance bill is lowering taxation from Kenyans, and it is saving Kenyans. It is giving them reliefs. You had them make those pronouncements from time to time, as if trying to tell Kenyans that this finance bill is friendly, is good, and it is not going to hurt you at all. But on the other hand, the budget is giving you 1 trillion gap. So I needed our viewers to listen to that first. I mean, to understand that first, so that then they understand that these revenue-raising measures by government were not coming in vain, and were not coming to relieve them anything. Now, let's go to clause 31 of this bill. It had quite a number of items that was removing from zero rating to exemption, right? And this is part of what was presented in the bill. Never mind, in the report, when it comes to the issue of amendment, just a handful of those items were returned back to zero rating. Now, why is it wrong to remove items from zero rating to exemption? It means that once an item is zero rated, it is being taxed at zero. So any person who is manufacturing that product, or any person who is selling, retailing, or anything, is able to claim back their 16% VAT input. But when it is exempted, it means that everything you put into input tax is not claimable. So that item will definitely be much more expensive with 16% of the VAT. And that ends up making items much more expensive. What were some of these items that were in this zero-rated and exempt category? We have animal feeds, which unfortunately in the final amendments, I do not think that was removed from from exemption back to zero rating, because it was being pushed from zero rating to exemption. Now, if you do this, how does this impact Kenyan farmers? It means that animal feeds, which are already extremely expensive and out of reach, and making Kenyans are not able to farm profitably, are now going to be more expensive than earlier and than before.
Okay.
Now, if you are a true patriot and someone who is supporting production in this country, how would you then be supporting that particular clause? That on itself is horrible.
Enough. Okay, I'd like us to take a quick break and then come back and look into this. Because the indictment also on those who were against the bill is that there was not a full understanding of what it said. And then it was very difficult for anybody to then debate from a lack of information standpoint or a lack of knowledge standpoint. And that's why we're looking into some of these things. That when you voted no, was it also just the same political ploy as the folks who voted yes? And the bigger question in terms of what it does mean for representation of Kenyans moving forward. The Honourable John Kaguchia is the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency. He's with us this morning. We'll come back and continue this conversation in just a bit. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, traffic moving significantly busier than it was earlier on. The traffic on the Thika Superhighway is one to contend with. We're looking at traffic coming in all the way from that Royal Road Junction, crossing over to the Northern Bypass, and it's very, very busy this morning. Coming inbound towards that junction with Outer Ring and then all the way through towards the Pangani Underpass, very busy in both directions on Kiambu Road this morning. Limuru Road also buzzing with activity this morning. Traffic getting through very, very slowly. Limuru Road, all of this coming from the Red Hill Link Road, which is traffic trying to get off of James Gishuru, and then crossing over Lower Kabete into Spring Valley. That's also very busy this morning. Mzima Springs feeding off to James Gishuru on that part, and also coming in from Westlands Church Road into that area, then from the rear end of that road. So that's very busy traffic. Ngong Road is also busy. That Naivasha Road junction is quite something right about now. Traffic then on the construction heading out towards Ngong Road, on the other side towards Riara Road. So we'll see quite a lot of that there this morning. There's also traffic on Rilo Dinga Way. Look, let's look for where there's no traffic this morning. That should be fun. We'll talk and keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide. Inside from Chloride Oxide.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues this morning at 21 minutes to 8 o'clock with John Kaguchia, who is the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency. Mr. Aseto?
Yeah. Mheshimiwa, there have been accusations out here that as much as the opposition now says that the bill does not favor Kenyans, that themselves did not understand what the bill was all about. That when it came to the prosecution of the bill on the floor of the House, when members were being asked to substantiate the clauses and what they said, and to just explain why they were objecting or opposing it, they could not do that. It is an example that has been quoted by Senator Mandago yesterday in that meeting where the president was at. And there is a feeling that even the opposition itself, those who are saying no to the finance bill, did not know exactly, did not go through this bill to convince the House, to convince the movers of the bill that they understood it. Is there any truth to that?
The government side did try to did put up that narrative and have tried to sell that narrative very much. And one of the ways they were trying to push for this narrative is by ensuring that members are not able to make their contribution on the floor of the assembly by too much disruption. And those disruptions were meant to just make that impression. Members of the opposition did understand very well and very clearly on the provisions and not even issues that were raised. And the kind of contribution they made in the National Assembly were also very good. But of course, what happened is that the government side would pick one or two issues that maybe a member either got wrong or could not give the clauses. This is not an exam. No. It is not a term paper one was writing. And so when you have gone through the bill and you have seen the issues that you have a problem with, and then you're also relying on also the analysis of experts, you may not always substantiate every single, clause, especially like a member who is coming from the finance committee. Finance committee are the people who spend so much time with this finance bill, right from the word go, and it starts quite early. They spend so much time with it, and so they know exactly what clauses are where at what point in time. So it's not always that when you go to the floor of the assembly, then you must always quote every single clause. But once you have delivered your point, then that is good enough. If the member of the National Assembly from the other side is not satisfied with what you have raised, what they just need to do is to rebut. But in this case, what we were seeing is the people going out of their way to try and belittle the members who are opposing the finance bill. This does not in any way make the finance bill good and okay. And that is why it started by raising the issue of the deficit that the government is trying to raise this last year. 1 trillion revenue increase. So anyone who is coming to tell you that, because so-and-so could not quote the clause, then this finance bill is okay.
Kaguchia, because when you talk about the second reading where members of parliament then were giving their contribution on the same, is because, correct me if I'm wrong, when you get to the committee of the whole house is where the house then goes to clause by clause and the relevant amendments throughout the entire bill. That at the second reading, it is not important that you quote the clause. It is at the third reading then that you go through each and every single clause and make the necessary amendments. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
That being denied an opportunity then to raise your issues at the second reading because you've not quoted the relevant clause is neither here nor there.
Good. If you look at the arguments which were made, it were made on the points that were made in the second reading.
Yeah.
I hope you followed the ruling by the Speaker at the point when he said that no amendment would be allowed when you go to the Committee of the Whole. What was the government side telling you? That if you have a problem with this finance bill, you are in this house, make your argument and wait for the amendments. Bring your amendments. But again, they come and tell you that Article 114(2) of the Constitution does not allow you to make any amendments to the finance bill because it's a revenue-raising measure, unless you have consulted with the Treasury and the Committee of Finance. I remember I had put 6 amendments in December 2024 for some of the clauses that were being returned back into finance bill. And they were rejected, all of them, based on Article 114, sub-article 2, where they said that you cannot alter the revenue-raising measures by government. Now, having said that, let me come to your point precisely. You have said that one ought not to have quoted the exact clauses when you're doing the second reading, and that really is the case. It's not a must that you must quote the clause. In any case, remember, at the point when you were doing the second reading is also when the report was tabled. An 800-page document was tabled when we are on the floor. The committee ought to have tabled this report 1 week. We interact with it for 1 week or even more, and then we have the debate. But now someone has tabled a report for you, 800 pages. You are on the floor, you have prepared your points, and every time you stand, they are referring back to the clause. That's when you had members saying, no, you cannot push me into debating your report, which I have not even set my eyes on.
Okay.
I don't even know what you are amending.
Okay.
I am debating the bill because that is what at least we have on the floor.
Okay.
And so many times you would hear interruption and distractions on the members of government side asking us to quote and the report in areas where they had made the amendments. How would you know
or they have amended.
How long
Njeri.
have you had this material as members of parliament?
The report had just been tabled when we were actually doing our debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long had you had the bill?
No, the bill was there for some time.
How long?
And largely, if you listen to the arguments that members were making, I think you had the bill more than a month.
More than a month you had the bill.
Yeah.
So you were clear on the issues according to the bill that needed to be addressed when it was up for debate. What the issue was this report where particular amendments had been made as a result of public participation or on their own recognizance? Which were we looking at here?
You see, what the government has been doing, and I'm sure you have seen this trend, the first draft of the finance bill they release, it normally has a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of clauses that sometimes are not adding up and clauses that they do not intend to push up to the end. So then what they do, when they bring the green paper, they will have dropped some of those proposals. I hope you understand what I'm saying. They will bring proposals which are, outrageous. Like, you remember when Kalonzo Musyoka was raising the issue of was it the Mitumba or what was this issue that he raised? There's an issue Kalonzo Musyoka did raise, and very fast, majority leader and the government side were very quick to criticize him that he has raised something that is not in the finance bill. That was actually in the first draft, and they put a number of issues in the first draft, then they release it. Then you people capture and you say, no, this is bad. And then when you start talking about them, they will have removed them. Then they tell you, show us where it is on the final bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying very clearly here, Kaguchia, is that there seems to have been a fox game here.
Mind games.
Well, think about what a fox does. Right?
Yeah.
Whereby it was very clear that there were certain issues that would come up in the bill, which it could not be risked to be brought out onto the floor for debate, because then it would be clear that it did not hold any water. But if we look at the bill in its entirety, if you were to give an overview of the issue with the bill and why it needed to be rejected in its entirety, what I hear you kind of saying is that, number one, it increased expenditure, and the manner in which it increased expenditure was going to be detrimental to the Kenyan's pocket at a micro level. Would that make sense?
Even at a very, not only a micro, but even in a broader sense. I want to bring your attention to the clause, for example, that is bringing something called pre-populated tax. Pre-populated tax is whereby someone will follow your phone, will follow your account, will follow your e-teams and all your financial activities, behind your back. And then when they know how much it is that you earn or you're collecting or has gone through your hands, will demand for a certain amount of tax from you. For example, they will say, we see you have not paid as much tax as you have handled this amount of money. Never mind even if the money was welfare groups or whatever it is. And then they will tell you, we want you to pay us this percentage, let's say like 5% of that amount of money in terms of tax. And that is part of the pre-populated tax. And then they put the burden of proof to you as a person, that you have to prove that you ought not to pay tax on these amounts. And then you saw the draconian clause again that had been introduced, that if, for example, the money that has passed through your hands and pesos and all that is about, let's say, in a year is maybe, let's say, like 10 million, and the amount of money now the government is asking you to pay is, let's say, 1 million shillings in terms of taxation, and then you say you can't pay that money because it's really not part of what you should pay for tax. And the government, KRA, takes on you, gives you an agency notice. And then you decide to go to court. Government is telling you, you must first pay the 1 million we have claimed on you, even if you have not proved it. You must first of all place 1 million here with us. Then go to court.
Right.
If you win in the court, we'll return back the money to you. If we are not able to return back the money to you for one reason or the other, we can reduce this one from your future tax credits. It can become a tax credit and reduce it from you in the future.
It sounds like a game.
You know, it's so draconian.
Okay.
That and then you see members of the Kenya Kwanza government side actually dying on the floor to support this clause.
Which political party are you affiliated with, John?
I am affiliated to DCP.
You're a DCP party member.
I'm not a party member of DCP in terms of I'm not elected through DCP, but I'm affiliated. My thinking.
What is your party membership at the moment?
Of course, I was elected through United Democratic Alliance.
UDA, okay.
Yeah.
In 2024, you voted in favor of the finance bill. Where are some of these games that you talk about today? What played then?
We have learned our lessons.
You knew.
Yeah, we have.
Even hang on. You can't answer a question I haven't asked. So, in 2026, these games that you talk about, which you've clearly told us how they go, you knew the script in 2024. Because it would be argued that even when this was debated, just as quickly as it was in 2026, the same thing happened in 2024, which put the country in a lot of a mess after when it was then now contested. So in 2026, having known that you're going to battle with the same mechanism that was used 2 years ago, how should you then have handled this better? Because you were on the other side then. If you fought on the other side,
issues have changed greatly.
The issues have changed,
the circumstances
but
have changed.
The modus operandi, from your admission, is the same.
Yeah, it's the same. I want to, for example, bring the issue of numbers in the House.
Okay.
You know very well that members of ODM crossed the floor. Okay. The two main parties in Parliament is ODM and UDA. ODM crossed the floor. They are now working with the president. What does that tell you? 80 or 85% of Parliament is working with the president in the broad-based government. And that gives the president unprecedented power in the assembly.
Okay.
He has sweeping powers. So the members who have remained on this other side or who crossed the floor from the UDA are minimal. Then you have the Wiper members who are also few in the House. And we have a very few members of ODM who did not cross the floor with the others to join the broad-based government. So you have just about 40-something members in the National Assembly. And if you remember, even in the Gachagua impeachment, it's only 52 members who did not impeach Gachagua. From the 52, the number has again dropped with about 10 members. So the members who are there now to raise the voice against the broad-based government draconian bills and policies is a thin number. And so the strategies that, for example, were used, and that would be used, are also limited because a number of 42 against so many members in Parliament, that is more than 300, actually I think 307, 307 or so, is because we have 349 members minus the 42. You find that is also not an easy task. And so we really have to put up a case anyway so that our voice is known and the public can understand. And it's very important that you have the alternative voice. Otherwise, William Ruto will just get right into your bedrooms and kitchens and take everything without your knowledge.
Kaguchia,
yeah.
As we talk about the house there is today, if you look at the purpose of the house, whether in what exactly Parliament should be, there's really no opposition or government MPs. We just have members of Parliament whose role purpose is legislation oversight and representation. Are we therefore saying today that members of Parliament, as is structured, have forgotten their real purpose to be in that house, where it is to oversight, to represent and to legislate, that today they are playing wings, they are bowing to the executive for one reason or the other? Because at the end of the day, members of Parliament as a whole should be looking at the business on the floor of the house with the Mwananchi at the back of their mind.
I think with most members of Parliament knowing that they will go home clearly,
they now follow much more where they are getting their pay. Ordinarily, members of parliament should be more inclined towards their bosses, who are their electorate. But I doubt that is happening anymore. How would you say they are following their electorate when, for example, on the same day, on Wednesday, on Tuesday, we had the appropriations bill 2, which was appropriating so much money to the executive to spend within the last 2 weeks of the financial year. I mean, 200 million was being appropriated to Deputy President's office
to spend in this period that we are sitting in.
They were voting 1 billion Kenya shillings to go to State House. They were voting 3.55 billion Kenya shillings to go to unaccounted for fund by NIS. They were voting 1.55 billion to go again to an accounted vote for the CS Interior. If you look at that much, it's 6.3 billion Kenya shillings to be spent like Peremende in the last 2 weeks of the financial year. Now, this is happening, and then, by the way, I'm on record. At least this one I did put up a very serious opposition to. And I was able to explain myself at this point in time. In fact, the leadership didn't know that I had all those details because I was quoting them, even the vote number, because they kept on disrupting. And by the way, within the same 2 last weeks, they increased our debt capacity, borrowing capacity with 17 billion Kenya shillings
without the acquiescence of Parliament.
Of course, I mean, it was in that supplementary 2 budget. Many members of Parliament didn't see that. I raised it; it's on record. And when I raised this, Ishongwa was very quick to rise on a point of order to disrupt me and say, "Oh no, we are not debating the first supplementary. We are not," just to try and lose me. But I stayed put. I stayed put. And I put across my point. It's unanswered. It's on record.
Kaguchia, how would you explain the fact that I don't have a problem with members of parliament who showed up to vote either way. I have a problem with members of parliament, both from opposition and from government side, who did not show up to cast their vote. What message does that send? Is it because people are afraid to be seen on how they voted for the finance bill because of the 2027 election?
Yeah, of course. But again, also most of them are also fearing Gen Zs. They are fearing that they might come for their lives again. So the members of parliament who did not vote did not do this because they understand the ramifications of this. They want to support their boss, the president. But again, they are at pain that it's too late in the day. Some of them, I know, there are many clauses there that were raining against their own businesses. I know, like some members of parliament who do business, and I know because I heard them talk about clauses that were so negative that are likely even to bring down their businesses.
And that's why they would vote against them, not for other people.
You'd expect them to vote against this finance bill, but they couldn't. First, because they fear the president. They fear that he will be on their case. And this is something that has surprised me, that you can be elected. The president is elected just like a member of parliament. How then would you fear him so much that you do not want to represent your people because of fear? And so some of them are going to have their businesses fall. I saw, for example, one member there who was trying to lift his hand up, very enthusiastically, when some of the clauses came up, and he was trying to oppose, but he could not be allowed to oppose the clauses on the floor because, again, that isn't that reading now, because the speaker had already ruled that you cannot amend the finance bill because it goes against the Article 114. So when you hear the government people tell us that, you're in opposition, you're supposed to be in parliament saying what you're saying about the finance bill, they are also very cunning in terms of what you can amend and what you cannot amend. But again, what you do is you must raise your voice so that Kenyans can understand. And when they understand, then they walk with you and they also raise their voice at the end of the day.
Indeed.
And that is why, again, as we finish, I want to remind Kenyans that government expects to collect 1 trillion more this year. This finance bill that was passed is expected to help the government
collect more money
to do that.
I think it's interesting that 6.3 billion shillings has been approved by the same parliament to then be able to spend in the next, we're looking at 8 days now. My goodness. Sometimes we have a cliffhanger, and I think that's where we are now in terms of really the role of Parliament and some of the antics, unfortunately, that were captured by, and I guess we're using the word captured. The Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituencies, John Kaguchia. Thank you for being here with us this morning, shedding light on some of these issues. It's all one to watch and see. Asante sana. Good morning at 8 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has urged Kenyans intending to participate in the June 25th demonstrations that are set actually for Thursday this week to exercise their constitutional rights peacefully. He warned that security agencies would act decisively against any criminal elements. Speaking at AIC Langata in Nairobi, Murkomen stated that the government would support lawful protests while ensuring that public order is maintained. The CS emphasized that demonstrations must not disrupt public life or infringe upon the rights of others, calling for restraint and responsibility for participants.
Our constitution allows every citizen to protest, to picket, to demonstrate, and to present petitions under Article 37 of the Constitution. That is a right. And no government citizen, no government official, neither myself or the Inspector General of Police or any government official can take that responsibility or that right from the people of Kenya. It's a right that must be exercised by the people of Kenya. But that right must be exercised peacefully. There is also a right for our children to go to school. It is in the same constitution. There is also the right to life. People must continue to live their life to the fullest. There is also the right to property that the same constitution provides. So when you are exercising Article 37 right to picket, to demonstrate, to do all this, it is not to say your right to demonstrate is greater than the right of our children to go to school. It is not greater than the right of business people, Mama Mboga, to continue doing their business. It is not greater than the right of other citizens to enjoy a quiet life, those who are going for transport, and so forth and so forth.
Refugees from various countries affected by disasters and conflicts have called on Kenyans to maintain peace, solidarity and unity, especially as the country prepares to hold general elections in 2027. Led by Biora Karang from South Sudan, the refugees said Kenyans should learn from countries facing conflicts and lack of peace to avoid a similar situation in this country.
Hakuna kitu yenye chuki inaletanga, inakuanga tu ni maovu yote. Tunaomba ya kwamba Kenya isaifika kwenye ile kiwango lenye hizi nchi zote zenye ziko sasa zina amani zimaifika. Since Kenya inaenda kwa election year period, tunaomba nyinyi wote muungane kama wa Kenya. Sione ndugu yako kama adui. Siasa mbaya huwa inakuanga ni maisha mbaya.
We don't want to be just dependent on you. Give us resources to learn so that we can take the initiative of giving us skill training like entrepreneurial leadership skills, also literacy skills in order for us to go forward.
And Singishu County Commissioner Addison Nyale, on his part, has urged refugees to live in peace and cooperation with the communities that host them. He has also stressed the importance of strengthening good relations between refugees and the host communities, including through intermarriages.
We have seen Black Beauty. They are here, smart. You gentlemen, don't be jealous enough. Also open up. Kaka nani amesema hapa kutoka Burundi, amesema mahari haishi bwana. Kwa hivyo ni vyema to integrate pia the way nyinyi muna oa ama mnanyemelea. Vivyo hivyo pia muruhusu to blend.
Residents of Narok have complained about poor health services at the county hospital, raising concerns about the shortage of testing and blood donation machines. According to them, they are forced to seek these services at private hospitals at high cost, calling on the government of Governor Patrick Nduh to intervene and resolve the issue as soon as possible.
Mimi niko na mgonjwa Narok. Kuna mahali tunaambiwa Narok kwenda mpime damu, na watu wote wanaingia referral wanapima kwa hiyo Ken moja. Is that a personal project or whose project is that? Which the county as a whole is not even able to buy that machine ya kupima damu. Kwani hiyo ni Kiswahili gani na kitandawili gani imesunguka hapa? County ambayo inaongozwa na rais wa county ambaye ni governor, hata mashine ya kupima damu kweli inakosekana, mpaka watu wanapeleka kwa miradi ya mtu binafsi. Dawa hakuna, nanunua dawa mpaka hata nilitumia 50,000 kununua dawa tu. Hospitali ni daktari tu wako na nurses peke yake, hakuna chochote. So which kind of government do we have? Why don't we admit ya kwamba we have a poor government so that we tunaweza kuwachangia, tuwe na harambee ya kuchangia serikali.
And finally, in the international scene, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is the big winner following the country's general election, as his party has retained its overwhelming parliamentary majority, despite the poll being overshadowed by conflict, accusations of repression, and little participation by opposition parties. The Prosperity Party, which won 438 of the 501 contested seats, will form the new government, with Abiy set to be sworn in for another term at the beginning of October. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu hawaulizi, na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje, kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do. Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of Wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Indeed, it's 10 minutes after 8 o'clock. Dennis Aseto just does the things that he was doing. Some conversations continue even in the background, and this is not a background conversation, the one that we're getting into this hour. If you're tuned in this morning, this is the Situation Room, and we're getting into a food conversation.
Yes.
We're not talking about the 1 million chapati machine, not at this point, but the fact that there is a thinning in the breadbasket of Kenya because of weather, and what are we actually going to do about it?
Yep.
We're going to get into that in just a minute, but still, these conversations, they need power.
Kabisa. Conversations need a ngoa. Sema power.
Power.
And the kind of power we're talking about is from chloride dioxide, because chloride dioxide have been in the country since the formation of the country. 1963, and chloride dioxide are birthday mates. You know what I mean? As Kenya turns a year, so does chloride dioxide.
Right.
And that comes with experience that you can trust, because they've been powering presidents, they have been powering the nation, they have been powering the transport sector, because their battery have been able to move people from one point to the other, goods from one point to the other. But as we talk about the battery today, we're talking about a battery that is able to give you performance, is able to give you the comfort, is able to give you all that comes with the modern day vehicles, because remember, the modern day vehicle is considered a computer on wheels. Right? So chloride dioxide is telling you, call us. We will be able to advise you on the best battery that you do need. We will be able to even go further and do diagnostics to check at your radiator if it has a problem or not. If you've done mods here or there, you've put in new music that needs a higher or a stronger radiator, they're telling you, you need to change this for this battery to work for you, because in your vehicle you have massage seats, it must work. You have navigation, it must work. You have heated steering wheel, it must work. Do you have cooling system? It must work. It must work. And with that, chloride dioxide is telling you, we are not only giving you a battery, but you're giving you a battery with 18 months warranty. So stop waiting. Make sure you have the right battery for the right vehicle.
Now. Fantastic. All right. We're looking into Kenya's dwindling food grain basket, and we're talking about all of this amidst an El Nino warning. Emmanuel Atamba is the Program Director, Food Systems Transformation, TMG Research. Tell us what that is in just a minute. Very good morning to you. Karibu sana. Thank you for coming into the Situation Room this morning.
Asante.
Okisegere Ojapat is the President and CEO of the Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya, also here with us this morning. Good morning.
Thank you. Morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
All right, this is it's a very big conversation in terms of what's happening.
Yeah.
Likely that news that we've heard like this has not been as alarming ever. So we're looking at a very new situation. We're going to get into it this morning, but before we do, let's look at today's proverb. Dennis, to tell you where we are this week.
The proverb comes from the greatest country on land. You have to love it.
Okay,
Kenya. The home of wild beast migration. The home to the second highest point in the continent, Mount Kenya. The home to a home that wants to grow 15 billion trees. We are big on climate change. You gotta love it.
Okay.
It is the home to expressway that makes you enjoy the view, especially when you're flying over Nairobi. When you're driving using your car that is powered by chloride dioxide, you enjoy the views that Nairobi has. But let's go to the proverb. A rich man's fat does not stink. Otherwise, in Kikuyu they say, "Oduriwa itoga, donugaga." How would you interpret it?
Yeah, I think it's a reality of how society sometimes excuses, provides some latitude to those who are seen to have resources, to have the power. So I would say, it can also be the question of how power can also be abused, because people will tolerate and people would be, and I think even if it stinks, we will complain. I think that is the bigger question.
Ojapat, how would you interpret it?
I think it's an interesting one. I think for me, it's clear. Society has built us into silos and put us into standards, even though we come from the same environment. And therefore, we consider the rich the most privileged, and yet it's not always the case. So it also then goes back and ask ourselves, who are we? Have we just started segregating our own people, or are we real that we can never be the same in the community, and therefore, in my opinion, it's a biased way of glorifying certain people with their status in the community, other than appreciating that all of us are worth. It doesn't mean that if you're poor, you do not have ideas. And I've also seen a situation where those who have money, in most cases, have no good ideas. Those who have good ideas have no money. So really, a combination of the two is more important than just looking at it from one side.
Well said. Asanteni sana.
Kabisa. Well, Ojbat, let's stay with you for a minute and let's start to, draw some lines so we can understand where it is that we're actually playing within at the moment. Kenya's breadbasket. From an understanding that this is the region that is, number one, most fertile, will grow and produce the most food at the moment for the country. Is that the correct state?
An interesting conversation, and thanks for asking this question. We are a country that is actually rich, but a country that is also careless. A country that does not care about food. We are a country that receives more rain than we need. I have visited certain jurisdictions that receive an equivalent of one downpour in Nairobi for the whole year, and yet they are not hungry. And therefore, the situation at which we are and what I hear about food security, in my opinion, is a mixed grill. One is a perception, and the second thing is a disease that we have grown with because we have always remained careless, because we imagine the next rain season is coming anyway, and therefore we've never planned. And looking at the situation this morning in terms of El Nino, I hear this conversation and I laugh, because then there has never been a situation in Kenya where we are stable. It's either we have too much or we actually have nothing. Kenya receives more rain than we require. What we require is to distribute, is to save the water, is to save whatever we have. And we just have to be clear that certain things need to be fixed so that we do not have to get to this 60 years plus after independence that we do not even have storage.
There has never been any situation in Kenya where the country has been stable.
There has never been a situation in Kenya where a country has had sufficient food. There's always too much in one area, in some season, and nothing in other seasons. Looking at statistics this month, it is said about 3.5 million Kenyans are in dire need of food in this country, where one downpour in Nairobi sweeps houses and homes and takes water to the Indian Ocean, as if we have a contract with the Indian Ocean to supply them with fresh water. So we just have to get serious as a people. And then for me, just again to answer you is the food security for me is not having food in the country. I define food security as the availability, accessibility, and affordability. So we may not have it, but we can afford it. And we may have it, but we may not even be able to access it. So we need to look at it from both sides. I have a mixed grill. So from the beginning, from the initial stage, that we are in a unique situation, and we just need to call ourselves to order. That's my take.
Emmanuel, when you talk about food systems in the country, it is just not about the harvest season. That we now harvested, the silos are full. NCP, that one, NCPB, Food Eco, put it in your granary, right? It is from the inputs that we have. It is in the irrigation there is. It is in the weeding process. It is in the pesticides that we apply. It is in harvesting, storage, and the value addition. That, for me, is what makes a food system that makes sense and that is sustainable, that is available, and is affordable, right? But in Kenya, we only think of grain. Kona mahindi, or we have wheat. That is our food basket. How do we then change for us to have a food system that makes sense for a country to be able to feed, and not just feed, but nutritionally so?
No, I think One is we are defining ourselves the wrong way most of the times. So when we think about food security and when we think about food systems, we are looking at big farms. So normally we are thinking in terms of big farms, big production, big bags of grains and all this, but this is not our system. This is not our context. We are a predominantly smallholder context as a country. So let's begin there. So most of our farmers are smallholder farmers. Most of our food is coming from smallholder farmers. When you turn to the consumption side, when you turn to the market side, then you also see that we are the way the market is structured is different from what you will find in the textbook. So food comes from the smallholder farmers. Sometimes follows the public transport system from, let's say, the indigenous vegetables from Kisii. They land somewhere in Marikiti, also from trucks that drive at night, they land at some point in Marikiti, and then small traders are the ones that then take the food and then deliver it to the last mile so that the consumer can access the food. When you look at the reality of the food system and how it is organized, it's very different from what you read in text and what you read in reports. So even that understanding becomes a bit problematic. I think a smallholder farming system has its own advantages. And one of the advantages is that as many people as possible have an opportunity to participate in production because they have access to a portion of land. And then as they participate in production, they are also participating in consumption at the same point. So therefore, it becomes easier to have a conversation where consumption and production are not very distant. So a lot of people in Nairobi, for example, would be connected to farming indirectly or directly, or at least they will be having a brother or a sister or an uncle or an aunt who is doing some sort of farming. So as a society, we are not very disconnected from production. And that is why when we talk about things like El Nino coming and all these things, everyone is affected because everyone is connected somehow to the soil, whether directly or indirectly, which gives us a lot of advantages that we now need to start to discuss and start to see what does a smallholder farming system or agriculture system requires. It is different from what is in the agriculture textbooks today. It is different from what is in the government plan when you talk about, we are doing big production, let's have aggregation centers at the county level and all those things. In some of the counties, if you go to some of the counties, especially in western counties, I keep telling my friends in Kakamega, Siaya, Bungoma, when they do their maize production, you know how much of that maize gets to the market outside those regions? It's very small percentage. But the consumption that happens in that region of the maize that they produce in that region is significant. But because we don't want to account for that, we don't want to document for that, we don't want to look at our census and see how many Kenyans are living on farms, for example. So that when we are thinking about, what is in the silo, what is in the storage, but really, is that what we should be paying attention to in a smallholder system? It's a different conversation there. So for me, I think if you misdefine the system that you want to intervene in, whatever intervention you suggest is going to fail.
Okay, so let's look at the food that's available in the country, and let's look at where it goes. Now, you talk about food that goes to the silos. In this case, under the Ministry of Agriculture, then the NCPB takes on this food that goes to the NCPB, that they can say, okay, our barns have food. Where does it come from? And then where does it go? For us to understand. Where does that food come from? That these barns, and where are these barns? And where does that food is essentially then get distributed to?
Do you want to take it? I think for me, interesting conversation. Let's be honest. First of all, that we as a country have remained food insecure for long. Even as we talk, we are food insecure, and we are also nutritionally insecure. The farmers in this country have been defined the wrong way. And the production that we have within those smallholders, most of it does not leave their gates. First, it is consumed locally. Two, whatever gets to the stores does not go straight to NCPB. There is food that goes into millers and does not make its way to NCPB. There is food that goes into schools, institutions, groceries, eateries. That food does not find its way into what is defined as stores. the way it has been in this country, what we define in the store is what is found in NCPB, because we can account, because this money is spent on it by the government of the day.
Government buys from farmers.
Buys from farmers.
Okay.
But it's also a bit, it's a bit annoying, let me use the word that, that the only thing we seem to think about food in Kenya is maize. We consider maize as food and food as maize. We are forgetting that we have sweet potato, we have Irish potato, we call them potatoes now, it used to be Irish, now I don't know whose potatoes it is. We have so many other things that we do that even in terms of buying, there has never been an allocation towards procuring of those indigenous foods by the governments. We have always allocated money to NCPB to buy maize. And we are from certain farmers, and in most cases, those we consider large scale or medium scale, who can afford to have an excess of a bag beyond their normal food consumption. And therefore, it becomes unfair from the beginning, because then if you have a little bit bigger land, then the government of the day will have some resources to procure maize from you. But the people who grow in Eastern Kenya, for example, what we call pulses, those pulses are never bought by government. The beans.
Why?
I mean, have you heard anywhere where there's...
Why are they not bought?
It's because we have considered maize as food, and
nothing
food
else
is maize. And also bulk. Then, let me progress and make it more complicated.
Okay.
When it comes to milk, because milk is still food.
Yes.
It's bought by the cooperatives. It is not funded directly by the government. It's funded by the dairies. If you go to Brookside and the like, buy it, and it's basically commercial, and we have allowed that system to be commercialized, and it moves towards there. Even when the government dictates on the prices, but you still see there are competition, and that competition has made that specific sector look more stable in terms of the distribution, right? But when it comes to maize, we all wait, and yet we do not have cost of production. Now listen, who supplies, to answer your question, who supplies the maize? It is a few people who are privileged to have slightly bigger land than the normal person, and largely the farmers who grow maize. And we have lost it because food security is not about maize. It's not about cereals. Food security is about everything that we can eat, starting from vegetable, whether it's herbs, whether it's your pulses, whether it's your ugali. For the people who eat ugali, I think that becomes it. For people like myself who do not eat ugali, do I look unhealthy just because I didn't eat ugali? No. So we need to look at food security from a different perspective and definition, and remove maize from food security, but make maize part of the food security that a country requires. That way, then we will look at, let me ask a farmer from Kadhiani in Ukambani. Let me ask a farmer from Kisii who does not grow maize. A farmer in Meru who does not grow maize. A farmer in Nyandarua who grows cabbage. When do you look at them as people and farmers who contribute towards the food basket of this country?
Hey, Ojepat says he doesn't eat ugali.
I don't. Do I look unhealthy? So are you getting where I'm coming from? So the maize we have is only coming from a few people who are privileged to have land, and not the 85% plus smallholder farmers. And that is why the whole conversation then becomes more of a political situation than a real food situation, because we need to look at beyond just politics and be able to say, what does Kenya produce, in what volumes, and how do we apportion that as part of a food security and build resilience, consistency, and sustainable systems that allow a supply of that value to come in. For example, vegetable and short crops that take 3 months, that take 6 months, that take even 2 months. We do herbs, we have vegetable. When do we get vegetables, dry them, and make them a food security issue?
I mean, Atamba, based off what Ojapata is saying, it is, we need to get out of NCPB conversations where all we think about is maize, because one asks the question, if you go to a place like Turkana, I mean predominantly dry areas, maize is not is not part of their palate, because what they have is their animals, you know, perhaps, and some rivers where they grow their vegetables here and there, but that those who are producing, say, if it's ugali, maize, they should be able to feed into Turkana, and Turkana or the northern part of the country, who are predominantly livestock keepers, should be able to feed back to other areas of the country. Because let's be honest, we've never seen a protectionist move where, say, if Nyanza is known to be good at growing something, that is what they focus on. If these other areas good at maize, that's what they focus on. But there should be a mechanism where all these feed into the food basket of the country that would then address nutrition and food security that we're talking about. Are we having these conversations on that level, or have we just left it to be another political slogan?
I mean, I would say there are a number of quite interesting government programs. If you look at how government programs and if you look at major programs like NARIG, NAV-CDP, and other programs that I know, so JPAT understands that. So there are a number of programs, there are a number of investments that are also looking into the other value chains. I would not say that we are only looking at maize. The problem is that Kenyans are only asking about maize.
Yeah.
So this is a problem that is also fueled by Kenyans.
Yeah.
So a lot of Kenyans just monitor the unga prices, and they say, okay, so if the unga prices are okay, then we are okay. And we are the ones who are telling the politicians that we want to hear about maize. Yeah. But as Ojepat says, there is a lot of food. Kenyans are consuming a lot of food, a lot of diverse foods, and today, if we monitored our consumption, if we monitored our markets and flow of food, you will realize that in fact the ugali consumption is reducing, and we are having people like Ojepat now saying, okay, so I'm not an ugali person, but generally consumption of ugali is going down, creating space for potatoes, creating space for rice, creating space for wheat. And if you are looking at rice and wheat, for example, and you look at how much we are importing for rice and wheat, then you see that we are not thinking about what people are actually consuming, how much wheat is being consumed, how much rice is being consumed, and the deficit that keeps growing between what is produced locally and what is consumed, at least for these two main starches.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
So let me stay with you for a minute, Atamba, because people like what they know.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
That the chances of you liking something else is based heavily on what you know.
Yeah.
If you don't know of this other thing, the likelihood of you to push for it then drops significantly. So are we also then saying that this thinning bread basket that we talk about is thinning for maize, and that there's a possibility that there is a variety which is still untapped, for which Kenya would not have a problem reaching food security?
Yes. Yes, there is. If we become honest about what we are actually eating as Kenyans, definitely maize is a big part of it, but it is not the only part.
It's not even indigenous to Kenya.
Yes, so it's not the only part. I mean, in Western Kenya, we can argue it's indigenous, but this is a different debate.
You could start to argue. We could be here for a while.
Yeah, but I think the biggest problem is really dealing with the fragility that are in the fragilities that are in the system. So I talked about Kenya being a smallholder context, and what kind of interventions do you need in a smallholder context? What kind of resilience building do you need in a smallholder context? I think these are questions that we are not asking. So, for example, El Nino, which is the discussion that everyone is talking about now, El Nino is a natural event. Yeah. It's a natural occurrence. It's not something that is new. It's not because of climate change. So climate change provides a baseline. If we are talking about a slightly warmer world, it provides a baseline that can actually lead to maybe a more extreme El Nino event. But El Nino in general is an event that we are aware about. We know that El Nino happens, and floods are things that we know. We can even predict. We can create models that predict how often we are expecting floods and things like this. What we have not done is we have not looked at how resilient our farming system is, how resilient our consumers are. Because, for example, as Ojepat is saying, it's also about access. It's not only about production. Yes. And if more and more Kenyans, if more and more households are not able to afford food, then we always will have to come back to this conversation of subsidies. that we will have to subsidize unga at some point if people cannot be able to afford it. But that should not have been the case. If we deal with our income conversation, if we deal our job opportunities conversation, you don't have to subsidize consumption, because then consumption takes care of itself. And when you have a strong consumer base, when you have consumers that actually can afford the value of the food, then they can even afford to pay the farmer more for what they are producing, and therefore the system can work. So we have to move slightly, I think, broader than the discussion of how much is in the store. And maybe also just to say, you know how much maize government buys is only 5% of what is produced. So the government capacity of NCPB is only 2 million bags, by the way, countrywide. So we are producing about over 40 million bags. So when the government says we are buying from farmers, what they are talking about is 5% of what we produce. And yet we are not having strong conversations about how much of this grain will then be bought by the different companies from the millers to go into livestock feeds, or what is being eaten by consumed by people. So there are a lot of discussions that are not happening. And I think the only thing I can say is that we need to really go deeper and understand the system better, so that even as we talk about, there's a risk that is coming in our direction, we are vulnerable. How vulnerable are we, and how do we make sure that we are building the capacity of our communities to respond to externalities? Because risks will come, shocks will come. It's a question of how ready are we?
Let's take a break and then we'll go deeper, because I mean, if we're having the conversation, why not do it now? And look at some of the things that we're talking about here, whereby perhaps we've had the instances where we say, is it time to start having a different food conversation? Because if we say that Kenya is at risk, then why do we insist on the thing that is not going to continue in terms of sustainability? All right, let's continue with our conversation when we come back from this.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, so traffic still continues in the city this morning, and we are still in traffic hour. It's still heavy as you get into the CBD. Coming off the thicker superhighway, all roads seems looking like it's getting into the CBD this morning. Very busy on Limuru Road coming in from Gigiri. Red Hill also feeding traffic into the CBD. And whether you're coming in from Lower Kabete, Spring Valley, and all the way on Waiaki Way this morning, James Gachagua crossing over into that whole area, very, very busy. Ring Road Western's also giving off quite some traffic this morning, and it also is still pretty heavy coming off of Mombasa Road as you head out towards Uhuru Highway this morning. And also this is North Airport Road. Outbound traffic is an absolute mess this morning and moving very, very slowly. We'll keep an eye on things. Give us a shout if you know what's going on in your neck of the woods. We'll keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide, inside from Chloride Oxide.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
And coming in to continue with that conversation now at 22 minutes to 9 o'clock, we're talking about secure food systems. There seems to be a warning that's gone up into the air that might have people a bit worried in terms of what's going to happen then. Will you then have enough food? I hear you, Chapat, saying that there is enough food. We're just focusing on the wrong food. Because when we say that there might be a problem, it's because everybody's talking about this maize. Atamba says that, you know what, we need to look and see what actually happens in that system. Is the focus being made on maize because we are too lazy or uncreative to say, let us focus our attention here? Where are we in that conversation in terms of actually moving this thing on its axis and saying, let maize be one of the things that you can consume, but if you put everything on it, then we're likely to get into the situation that we are at the moment.
Yeah, thanks. I think I will go back to what I say, that I insist that maize is not food and food is not maize.
Okay.
maize is just one of the foods that is consumed in Kenya, particularly in the rural community, in certain parts of this country. If you go to the urban area, there's a lot of consumption of rice and beans, for example, as opposed to ugali. When we go to other areas, there's a lot of spaghetti, a lot of wheat, and a lot of veg. If we go to Kambani, we will eat a lot of pulses as opposed to ugali, since they don't even get that maize. And as we said, partly the challenge, mostly the challenge we have in this country is not production. It is distribution. We have seen instances where cabbage in Nyandarua and milk is being poured, and yet in Turkana, northeastern or lower eastern, or even the coastal region that has never fed itself, remains hungry. So I'd like us to look at a situation where, number one, it's a good thing that we have been told El Nino is coming. The weatherman has done the work, and their people, they've told us what it is, and they've even told us when most likely this is coming to happen. The question is, what are we doing in terms of mopping out, first of all, getting statistics or exactly what we have. We've had instances of people holding food, maize stocks in Rift Valley, for example, and Northeast, not Rift particularly, where we are told there's a lot of food, maize in stores. So have we really ascertained how much we have and who is having this data? And if this maize is not in PCPB, how much of this is in people's stores? Because I come from a family, for example, whenever we grew something, our millet, it will go into a granary right in the home. Have we taken stock of that happens in the villages and get to know that every village is secure? And say, what is excess? And how do we get that excess taken to a place where there's no sufficient supply? And in that case, who is funding it? Are we funding it by ourselves, like those of us who are in Nairobi? We go to the store and buy. We actually, in most cases, don't ask where that food came from. Is there a traceability system to help us to be able to establish where we are? And two, if that is the case, number one, if we're able to ascertain and get to know the situation, food security, I said here, is not about just having food. It's about affordability, accessibility, and are we able to afford? Is it accessible? And is it available? Is it available in country or out of country? Is it accessible, even if it's available? So if we're able to address the accessibility, availability, and affordability, then the very reason why we import rice and wheat into this country is because it's not available here, but we can access it from elsewhere. We need, at this point in time, to find those government agencies, particularly that are charged with the responsibility of looking at food security, in this case, AFA and the Ministry of Agriculture, to already tell us this is how it looks. This is the stock available. This is where we are. And then get into this conversation of saying, if this is what we have in terms of maize. By the way, let me tell you that statistics show, Atamba, you may want to confirm this to me, that a human being can eat at least an average of 1 bag of maize per year. So that's the way you measure. Just 1 bag per person per year of maize. So if we are talking about food security and we are 55 million, so we need to be talking about, assuming everybody eats maize, so we need 55 million bags of maize to sort us out when it comes to maize. What do we talk about? Beans, peas, and the veg, and the rest of the products. So we need to look at that distribution. At the moment, it's very annoying that we're having this conversation and we have no data. And even if there's data, it's not credible enough for us to be able to bank.
So wait, I'm sorry. Allow me. I'm sorry.
Please do it. Go ahead.
It's just for
it's a conversation.
It's just for clarification.
Yes.
So at the moment, we have a Ministry of Agriculture. Surprise. Do we know? I mean, you said we have no data. So you're saying that we don't know how much food Kenya is actually producing on the year to feed its people?
From where I sit, yes.
We don't know.
We know how much maize.
Okay. So
because all the conversations about maize, rice, wheat. There's no conversation about veg. There's no conversation about beans. There's no conversation about
milk
or something. There's a conversation about maize. Meat. We have a conversation around about a single item called maize. And added of wheat and rice, which are basically all of them are under one side.
So even this maize, is there enough for these 55 million bags per year?
Atamba, I do not believe in
it's
it.
Not.
It's not there.
It's not. And I think, there are quite a number of people who have tried to come up with technologies to even use like aerial images to predict the crop health and therefore the productivity per year. But these things have not been rolled out. So even what you get from government is an estimate. Even what you get from government is an estimate. And this estimate is coming from, how many bags have been taken through the subsidy program, how much seed has been bought, and how much land is under the crop. It's an estimate. But I think it is very difficult to tell exactly how much food is available and where it is. I will not go into that conversation because it's very difficult to tell. For the reason that it's very difficult to tell exactly how much food we have. Because remember again, we don't eat as a country. Wewe unakula kwako, unakula kwake, mimi nakula kwangu. We don't eat as a country. So we don't have a big dinner table where we say, Kenyans, now let's come and eat. And this is a big mistake that we always have when you talk about food security, because not every person is vulnerable to the same extent. Not every person is affected by different shocks to the same extent. So I'm more concerned on the question of understanding, one, what are our vulnerabilities, which areas are fragile, which areas are livelihoods affected when we have extreme, for example, events like an extreme El Nino event where we have floods and things like this. Who is vulnerable? Okay. Then what systems do we need to put in place to reach the vulnerable? Because for those that are not vulnerable, it doesn't matter whether the unga is coming from Washington, D.C. or from Kakamega. No. If you have the money, the unga will follow you. Food follows where people have resources. And that is why today, when we are talking about El Nino, I don't think our friends sitting in Runda, in Karen, are very worried about it. Because they
sweeps
know
their houses away.
Yes, because they know whatever happens, if some livestock are swept away, if some houses are demolished and all those things, they will still have a place, a supermarket. It will be 2 times more expensive maybe, but they will have the money to buy it. So the conversation I want us to have is really coming from the point of, in the event of a situation like El Nino, it is still a possibility. What is being discussed is a possibility. It has not been fully confirmed that we are actually going to have an El Nino event. The highest projections I've seen from some key actors is 70-80%. So there is still a chance that maybe we'll not have this event. But there are already other weather events that are happening, weather situations that are happening. For example, if you go to the North Rift today, for the last about 6 weeks, it has not rained. If you go to Uasin Gishu County, you go to Trans Nzoia County, this is where I come from, and I can tell you that the maize is not looking good there, for example. Just as but always for me, the question is, okay, who should we be worried about? Who is going to be affected? In Nairobi, the people in informal settlements are always affected by these events, both in terms of the infrastructure that is affected, but also at the same time in terms of access to food.
I want to bring in Ojipat, because I've had a conversation with him before and I think he's just forgotten about it. But there's a time we're having a conversation about Matonge, Matonge market. And we're talking about the ecosystem that has been created, that they're able to import food at an affordable price. And there is the element of tracking of this food from the source to the end consumer, and you're able to say this cow was slaughtered, say in the Congo, it was shipped, it is here in this market. You're able to trace all that. We're talking about a country that imports almost everything, but the food is available, it is accessible, it is affordable, and there is intention in ensuring that nutritional value of the same has been received. We're having this conversation with former Ambassador Bitange Ndemu. What have they done to ensure that they have food that makes sense to them, as opposed to us, who we have all the rain there is, we have all the land there is, but you're not taking advantage of the same?
Thanks for all this, and that's why I started by saying it's an unfortunate situation that we are sitting here without statistics of every single thing that we grow that contributes to what I consider food security. And we're biased, and we have been put in this situation much more from a political situation. I sit working for the horticulture industry, for example, the fresh produce industry. And I can tell you for free, the people who grow flowers, they already know when their flower will be in the market next year or next month. We know how long it takes for us to push our avocado out of Kenya to a certain destination, the number of days and the volumes. We know predictably this is what we expect. It is driven by the market statistics. And I wanted to just go back to what Atamba said. When you look at what government gives us in terms of statistics, I don't know when last you got the real-time data. You're always told by the year 2024. I think that's a lot of validation that's going on today, and we're into 2026. So we have 2 years gap of data. In some places, you'll be told you'll be told recent data of 2022, 2023. That's what government considers recent. The recent data. What I consider recent is today. 2026. I know what was exported last night out of this country to which destination. I know which airline. I know the airway bill. That conversation is not happening at the ward level. It's not happening at the village level. Because the government of the day, when we adopted devolution, we actually killed agriculture. And they killed the systems. We devolved agri, but we did not devolve the functionality and ensure that is working. We have a CEC in charge of agriculture who has staff who are not enabled. And it takes me to what annoys me very much. And I've told you this before. In a government of the day, and the statement I'm going to use is quite strong, please. I say this country must either delete the statement they call agriculture is the mainstay of this country, or the backbone. Those are the interchangeably used in any government documents, either mainstay or backbone. But this year's budget, if you look at it, statistics show that it has only been allocated 1.3% of the annual budget, against what Kenya has ratified more than once of 10% on the bare minimum. And expect this country to flourish and expect security in this country to improve. I can tell you, colleagues here, that the security of the country is determined by if their citizens can eat. If you have enough food, why do you have guns? Most of the crime scenes we see around is because people are struggling to get money to do what? To buy food. So if you can provide food, we'll be okay. Now back to your question. The challenge we have at the moment, again, is still skewed towards the political crops. Political crops. I'm using the word political crops. You'll be discussing coffee, you'll be discussing tea, you'll be discussing maize. Those are the crops. We are not discussing bananas. We are not discussing potatoes. And if we discuss potatoes, it will be which variety of potato. And therefore, this conversation must come out of the political line. And this is what I want to ask you. From where we sit, what we need to do is to have a serious conversation about what is agriculture in Kenya. What do we define as agriculture in Kenya? It's mainstay. If it's a mainstay, what are we doing to ensure that that mainstay is actually a mainstay?
So the behavior...
This agriculture is being funded largely by the international community. Please challenge me if I'm wrong. And I can say this again. Why will a country that would like to be independent, solid, speak with authority, be able to have its infrastructure that feeds its own citizens being funded largely by friends? Why don't we have it and then ask friends to top up whatever we need to do? Tell me today where you have a program of maize, of mangoes in Machakos and Lower Eastern, Makueni. Why will mangoes go into rotting? Last season, we lost a lot of mangoes because all of us want Ojipat and the team within the export to export all the mangoes. But we can't get those mangoes pushed to Northeastern where they require a lot of nutrition.
Well, Kivuta Kibwana tried by setting up this factory, which was going to then harness
Kivuta Kibwana did not set up the factory.
I said he tried.
I speak with authority.
Did he not try?
I was involved.
Did he not try at all?
I was involved in the feasibility study. And that facility and the donors that put in money, including up to the launch, We know how much the country put in, and we know what the international community. The intention is very well. But do you know that that facility is idle 9 months of the year?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we designed it for mangoes. Mangoes are also only in season for this. And yet, how much does that factory take? Less than 10% of the total production that comes from the same area.
So what you're saying,
and so what we need to do
the
is
orchards,
to dry.
the trees, I understand. So the trees that are producing mango, for example, in this lower eastern part, essentially a majority of the fruit will fall to the ground and rot and disappear.
It becomes a food waste.
Okay.
Why? We have not invested on it because it's not a political crop. And therefore, we have not put a lot of effort there, because what we needed to do is to buy up all those mangoes, distribute to other parts of the country and sell them fresh, or at least encourage what I'll call dry the vegetable, the mango, and eat it as a dry veg as part of our food security. That is just mangoes. Let me use the word cabbage. If you go to Meru and Nyandarua, how much cabbage goes into West? If you go down to Kitui, there was a time Governor Ngilu tried with green grams. And we condemned her for having overproduced green grams. And we could not put an intervention, and we called it her project. And yet this was food. And so I could continue saying this. What I mean here is that we need to move out from, for lack of a better term, from this joke of calling agriculture mainstay, and we do not support it. And we need to devolve not just agriculture by name, devolve resources and hold men and women accountable for every resource that we have given to them. Like we will account. I mean, you account for your time here. When are we going to hold people accountable? Even for the fertilizer that the government has subsidized. And do you know how much of those subsidies goes to other crops other than maize and wheat? The majority of that subsidy goes to the maize and wheat. How comes we're not asking ourselves what kind of fertilizers, in terms of our nutrition, do I need to produce? Cowpeas, and your African leafy vegetables. Who accounts for that? Where is it accounted? Is it part of the food security? The answer is yes. Do we look at them that way? For now, no, because it's not politically motivated.
So is there, Atamba, any validity or authenticity in raising the alarm about Kenya not being food secure, or maybe a thinning bread basket, when you have actually not looked at the options that are actually available in the country? Can you do that authentically?
Yes. I mean, and that's why I said it's difficult to count what everyone is keeping in their kitchen or in their stores. But what we can count is the number of people that we see struggling to access food. Is the number of people who, if they are asked today, if they are worried about what they will eat for dinner this morning, they will say, yes, I'm worried about whether I will get food for dinner. And what we can count is the number of people who in Nairobi today woke up in the morning, took a shower and tried to look for a job, and they moved around town, and up to midday they have not found something to do. And therefore we are asking ourselves, what will they eat? Okay, so I think what we can see the problem. On the other side, we see a problem. We see a real problem that we have people who are not able to feed themselves in dignity, because this is what it should be about. You should be able to feed yourself in dignity. Whether you are engaged in the agriculture space or you are engaged in providing services elsewhere, you are engaged in media, you are holding the camera, you are doing the social media, you are doing whatever you're doing, you should be able to feed yourself in dignity. Now, when we look at how many households in Nairobi, in other places in the country that are afraid when they hear about El Nino and they are afraid of whether they're able to eat, we see that there is a problem. So I think this is where I'll sound the alarm from. I would sound the alarm from the point of view that a significant number of Kenyans are worried that they might not be able to have food. And whether the food is in the supermarket, whether the price is reduced by 2 shillings or by 10 shillings, it does not mean that all of us have access to that food. So on the production side, what I see, and I agree with Ojapat, that there is a mismatch between what is needed. So when we are talking about climate change. You're talking about reduced precipitation. And again, it's important to still also insist that rain does not produce food. We need water to produce food. So it's not about waiting for the rain or the right rain. I think also if our farmers are enabled to have access to good technology, there's a lot of technologies that are available today. I'm a farmer myself, and I think what benefits the farming ecosystem is to even have basic technology for solar irrigation, for example, things like this that can make farming possible even in a difficult climatic condition.
Indeed.
So I think those are the conversations that we need to have. Yeah.
And I think that we need to continue pushing them, because it's clear that there's something that can actually be done. This is not a situation whereby you're saying, well, throw our hands up in the air and all hope is lost.
No.
And that we need to entrench these conversations really quickly. 10 seconds.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this. Number one, it's not about pushing. The leadership in this country must change. First, go back to what we have signed and give agriculture the budget. Two, I am asking the MPs, they go back to Parliament because they're the ones who appropriate resources that we have, and really ask ourselves, how do they appropriate the monies? For the people who are dealing with devolution, because that's where agri is being done, can we ensure that the right resources are channeled? And for the people in the private sector, for example, we're exporting. Do you know we don't rely on statistics on rain, but what we're doing is just ensuring that things work. So truth of the matter is that we are in a situation where it's very unpredictable, it's very emotional, it's more political, other than looking at facts. I think we need to separate the emotional political statements, alarmist statements, and get back to facts with data and statistics, real-time data. And you can invite us back here again and we'll have this sober conversation so that we can hold those people accountable. I wish I could be sitting here with the Minister for Agriculture or the PS and sitting here with the Parliament for them to be able to tell us as parliamentarians what are they appropriating, and for the executive, how do they allocate those resources, and for county governments, what are they doing?
That's probably who will be invited next time. Of course, in addition to yourselves, Emmanuel Atamba is a Program Director, Food Systems Transformation, TMG Research, as well as Okisegere Ojapat is the President and CEO of Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Santani Sana, 9:01.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Court of Appeal judges are set to elect a new president of the Court of Appeal today through a secret ballot overseen by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. In a statement, the judiciary said the election follows the expiry of the non-renewable 5-year term of the outgoing president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Daniel Musinga, which ended on May 24th, 2026. 4 judges have been cleared to vie for the position. Justice Gatembu Kairu, Justice Patrick Kiage, Lady Justice Agnes Murgor, and Lady Justice Lydia Achode. The 4 candidates are among the Court of Appeal's most experienced judges, having presided over landmark decisions that have shaped Kenya's legal landscape. The election will be held between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the Sarova Stanley Hotel in Nairobi, with voting conducted by secret ballot. The IBC has also confirmed that judges unable to attend in person will be allowed to vote electronically. Justice Wanjiru Karanja is currently serving as acting president of the Court of Appeal after taking over when Justice Musinga's term came to an end. President William Ruto will sign the controversial Finance Bill 2026 into law tomorrow, paving the way for the implementation of legislation that will finance the 4.8 trillion Kenya shillings national budget for the 2026-2027 financial year. The announcement comes days after the National Assembly passed the bill on June 18th. During the third reading, 122 MPs voted in favor, 40 opposed it, while 187 abstained, concluding weeks of heated debate both inside and outside Parliament. President Ruto confirmed the planned ascent on Sunday during the 95th St. John Ambulance Annual Parade and inspection at State House, Nairobi, saying the government had finalized preparations to sign the bill into law. The president had earlier praised members of parliament for passing the legislation, saying they had backed crucial economic reforms despite political pressure. Speaking in Nandi, Ruto thanked landmakers for rejecting what he described as misinformation about the bill. Opposition leaders, however, have criticized several provisions, arguing that some of the proposed measures could increase the cost of living for ordinary Kenyans. Meanwhile, Siaya Governor James Orengo has urged President Ruto to reconsider assenting to the Finance Bill 2026, arguing that it was passed without meaningful participation from a majority of members of Parliament.
The majority of the members of Parliament voted by their feet. They were not in the House when the vote was being taken. So if you add those numbers, the ones that took off during the vote and the ones who voted against the bill, a minority of members of Parliament actually passed the Finance Bill. The Finance Bill is a critical instrument for advancing and implementing government programs. And as you know, those who read history, the American Revolution was based on the mantra, no taxation without representation.
That's the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi. Traffic
update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
He himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament,
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said
the government,
when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will
sana.
always be here. The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
Because this is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, getting into the final hour of our conversation this Monday morning, the 22nd of June, and we then will talk to the president. We'll do that in just a minute after tusaidie tunataka power bwana.
Unataka power.
Yes.
Now, we've been talking about chloride dioxide, and let's just tick off a few things. It is you ensuring that you get the right battery for the right car, right? That one is tick. It comes with 18 months warranty. Tick, right? And for you to dial a battery, there's a number 0719 080 000. Let me repeat 0719 080 000.
Yes.
What do you get with that number? Now, you are driving your LX570. Mimi nashinda hapo. LX570.
Yes.
With soft closing doors, with working AC.
Got it.
With heated seats,
Lazima.
with ventilated seats,
of course,
and massage, and lumbar support, right?
Yes.
You have heated steering wheel. You have automatic tailgate, so that when you go shopping, and you've pushed your cart, when you get there and the vehicle needs to open up, what do? You just move your feet under the vehicle and it opens up automatically because it knows binti wa mfalme Madam Nduh amefika, and it's time for us to load the vehicle. And even when it is high, because remember LX570 has what do we call it? It has automatic dampers, so that means air systems that is controlled. You just press a button, it goes down, because why would you break your back
just to enter the car?
And all those things are happening because you have the right battery for your car. Chloride dioxide steps in. So when you dial that guy to bring you a battery at the comfort of your home, they will diagnose your vehicle. They will set that battery to match your vehicle and tell you, Binti Mfalme, you can now go enjoy your navigation to Kilifi and enjoy
slowly
your
too.
Stay.
Pole
right?
too.
These can be your story. What is the number for you to call? 0719 080 000. This is coming from Ambassador of Good Life.
Got it. And this is the way we are rolling, moving forward.
Yes.
No other way.
Kabisa.
The way we will not be rolling.
Okay.
Let me tell you how we will not be rolling moving forward. Is that we will not be rolling in the employ of goons.
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Goonistry. Goon industry.
Oh, well done. We can laugh about it, but it actually is not funny. True. It's not funny for the people who see a mob wielding crude weapons coming in their direction to disrupt a meeting. We will not be laughing, and it's not funny when you are not sure whether somebody's coming for you when you would be in the position of protest. And one thing that we want to then separate from two positions at this point is that protesters are not goons and goons are not protesters. All squares, all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles kind of conversation, that we cannot use the two interchangeably, and that it has become very clear, or are we exaggerating, that people, it's like how, you know, I have a friend who has actually had a word with her. I said, okay, how do you categorize this thing? And that she runs an entertainment, what are they called?
Joint
company, right? Okay. In this, not that one. This one is for the people who rent like chairs and stuff. Yeah. Like if you had a meeting, or if you had a party, or you had a wedding. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. How about Monday morning? English comes into play. An events company whereby you can rent chairs, or you can rent tables, or you can rent tents. The way it is starting to look like now is that you have a political position that you've taken, or that there is an event that's taking place, you can rent a goon or 12. I don't know what's the package that it comes with now. 12 for a certain amount of money, or that if they're wielding crude weapons, or the ones who are just going to come and shout and make noise. What's the going rate for them? 500 shillings? That you're actually saying, you know what, if you pay me this 500 shillings, I can come and actually, you know, make fear live rent-free in the heads of individuals, and so that they can know never to do such a thing again. Now, where it was looking as though it was a joke before, it looks like it's actually something real. And that there are people who are operating in different parts of cities where you can actually say, hey, Nyaje, you, are you using your goons this weekend? I need them. Can I borrow, or can I use yours? Can I pay? Because what is the purpose of these individuals? To come and instill fear in the hearts and minds of those who might actually be, you know, forwarding a particular authentic, legitimate cause. Because tell me why it has become the modus operandi in the current political dispensation, whereby you see people carrying sticks and stones, and then they're running about to scare and or disrupt a meeting. Whereby I saw the other day people I watched the video now with you know, attention, and a guy, they've already disrupted the meeting. People have already taken off. The guy insists that he needs to pick up this chair and actually throw it at a vehicle. Broke the way. And I thought to myself, so what? So that this meeting would never take place again? What is the purpose? And I really need people to help me understand. Because this one, we've moved beyond, is it right or wrong? And I think right or wrong sometimes just diminishes reasoning. But we're not talking about right or wrong, because even if you are a blind baby, not mature and still cannot see. And I'm not using this in any derogatory way. That you would be able to tell that this thing is wrong. So we're not even having that conversation. How don't we push it aside?
We're operating from a point where it is wrong.
It has been established. It is wrong.
Yes.
But you who is using them, what are you trying to achieve? Dear Mr. President, we're having a conversation this morning. And that under you, there's the cabinet, or with you in the executive, there's the cabinet. Within this cabinet, there is a ministry. Whose responsibility is to care for the internal security and, to an extent, administration of the nation. Under them lie the National Police Service. The National Police Service comprises of several different departments. There's administration police, there's DCI, there's GSU, there's anti-terrorism, those people, all of those guys.
There is an anti-stock theft unit.
There
is forests.
KWS, all of them under here.
Vitengo tofauti.
Koko. So now, when it seems as though these goons seem to be above, when somebody
powerful than the police,
above the law, and then they cannot be found. Nobody knows who they are.
They cannot
be found even when they come and tell you, Dennis, goon is me. I am goon. I was paid money to do this cheers.
Let's take a photo.
Even them, take a selfie. Even then, they cannot be found. Help me understand then what it is actually that you are doing.
And I think even as you talk about the president and the cabinet, let us also take it further. right? The president sits in a certain council called the National Security Council, right? Where under the National Security Council, he sits with all the security agencies who give him intel on where the country is with regard to matters security.
Yeah.
Now, under the National Security Council, you have NIS. NIS, their job is to collect data, information. And intel that would then make decisions or inform how police would be deployed to handle what exactly. Now, over time, we have seen the work of NIS, where they've been able to foil terrorist activities that would happen in the country. And to that,
well done.
Good job, right? But as complicated as terrorist activities are, goonism industry is not that complicated. That would mean they are able to pick that up easily and deal with it. Now, when we are being told we can't find them, we can't arrest them, they have gone to Uganda, they have gone to Tanzania, they are out of the country, in a country who is a signatory to Interpol, and we are able to even give sanctions or request for individuals to be returned to the country to answer to charges. Remember, this is the very same country where we've seen citizens of other countries have been taken from this country, taken back to their country for charges, right? That means Interpol and government-to-government initiatives can work. So why is it when it comes to the goon industry, that is where this collaboration with other countries do not work or apply?
Yeah. Do you think the people who hire their goons, they know, like, you see, like, those are my goons, like my mom's dogs, we know those are our dogs.
Yeah.
Do you think the people know those are my goons, those are mine? The way they operate is what now makes them be known as these are Nani's goons?
I think they do, because we've seen, and we have to say this because it is out in the public, we have individuals who've been called out, including some in the very same ministry, have been accused of hiring goons who have beat up people on their advice. The individual who was arrested the other day at All Saints Cathedral, we also had a name of a cabinet secretary who was called, having said or allegedly sent the goons to go disrupt the public participation of the finance bill. So when you hear all this, then the responsibility is to the police to take all this information and have these individuals record statement, investigate, and bring those culpable to book. But one asks the question, when you have your boss mentioned, how do you investigate your boss?
Dear Mr. President, there are goons in the country. They're already being used a year to the election, and it looks like it's going to get a little bit uglier as we go forward. But the question that we're asking this morning, to be told to maybe you want to say something to the president this morning, but at the same time, we're saying goons are being used. They're being used in the country, and the fear that is instilled in the hearts and minds of people, then their agenda is actually working. It's working. But the question we're asking this morning is, do you think anything can be done about the goonism situation in the country, or is it one of those things that is here to stay?
And I think also the fact that you look at the goon industry and its association or closeness with the political class, because you'll only find goons in any political activity that is ongoing. Whether it is protest against a political activity, you see goons. Whether it is in a political rally, there are goons. Whether it is in a church service, there are goons. Then one asks the question, in this group of individuals called the political class who are associated with goons, the president as well is, one would say, politician 001 because of his position as the president, right? Why is it that he is not
calling it out?
Because I still give this example. When the president was around Gitanga Road, right? I remember I was using that road. And that was around, say, 10 minutes after the president had left the area. There was still activity around there because people were still dispersing. But in an event that was presidential, 10 minutes after the president has left, clearly there is still semblance of security in the area. But there were goons who were attacking people and stealing from them. Remember, when you talk about goonism, it's people's businesses have been destroyed. People have died. Many have been injured. And here was in a presidential activity. One asks the question, to whom the activity has had goons, do they then bear the responsibility if someone was killed, if someone was attacked, if someone's business was destroyed?
Who's to take the responsibility for this thing that we are seeing happening today? That when people's names have been mentioned, that when somebody's character, then a question has been asked about it, why do we still seem so reluctant to then be able to deal with it? Because is it actually helping somebody? Is there somebody who is benefiting from it? The fact that we've called it an industry is a bit worrying now, because that means that it's achieving a particular goal, and that obviously money is changing hands. The people who benefit, number one, you move a certain way politically, but on the other hand, you're putting 500, 1,000 shillings, because for crying out loud, what's the going rate for a goon today? $1,000?
500 bob.
500 bob, because that's what you're doing to essentially get somebody to then be able to instill fear and anger. But then this fear and anger that you want to instill, for what purpose? What is it that you're actually trying to do? Do you think we can get rid of the goon problem in the country today? Because it's an issue. Anybody who doesn't see it as thus, then I don't know what planet or what rock from the sun that you're actually living on at the moment. So we're going to hear from you. Dear Mr. President, there's a goon problem. It's going to need a goon repellent to then be able to get out of it. It's like the bed bug issue that was in Kenya a while ago. There's a goon problem. You need a repellent. You need to snuff the thing out completely. Let's talk this morning, because how bad do you actually see it? And if something is going to be done about it, when must it be done? 0732-142653 or 0732-142650. We want to be able to hear from you this morning on our Dear Mr. President segment, because the goon issue, for a lot of people, they're saying, well, I don't want to go somewhere. And then suddenly there are people walking about with rungus and whatever, trying to instill fear. For what purpose? These are the conversations that we're having this morning. Do talk to us. Hello, good morning. Okay, I think we need to get a clearer line on that. If you don't mind calling us back, then we can see how we can hear, because we can't hear you very well. So that's the question that we're asking. And just a reminder of that phone number is 0732-152-653, 0732-152-650. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Kelvin.
Yes, Kelvin. Tell us where you're calling from.
I'm calling from around at the river.
Around at the river?
Yes.
Okay. Do goons scare you?
Actually, no.
They don't scare you?
They don't.
Okay. Talk to me.
The way we are packaged as a society has always been like that. Remember?
With goons?
Yes. It's only that maybe it has evolved in terms of naming. We had these professional mourners. You remember we had them and they could be hired?
Yes.
Now, by and by, gradually, we've come to now participate in politics. Now, what we had as professional mourners now have come, and now it's a business.
A professional goon.
Yes. Political parties and political activities have what they call mobilization fund. Who do they mobilize? Remember, people are busy trying to make ends meet, especially with this economy. And now there's money that has been disbursed for mobilization. Who are you mobilizing? In Nairobi especially, a busy city like this, who are you mobilizing? You go get some idle youth, go get some people who, even if they're working somewhere and they're not making that much money, you tell them, I have 1,000 per person. And they tell you, okay, Jemo, that 1,000, ndakuletea wase watano. Labor is getting cheap. It's a form of employment anyway. So some idle youths who are looking for mogoka and you know what they call tools will say, yo punch itaweza. And then you had mentioned something that 001 sits on, the Security Council. Nothing happens without the express knowledge of the intelligence.
Yes.
Anything that happens, whether a politician goes somewhere, and much more so the president. These goons that where those political activities are usually headed by either a plainclothes officer, an NIS guy, or this undercover police. Why is it that when something like this happens, you don't get to see anybody arrested unless there is an uproar, a public uproar, and then you will see some guys rounded up. How are they identified?
Right.
These people already knew. So these people already knew. And what happens is then you'll be rounded up and you hear some stories. After a while, the story disappears.
Yes.
And where do the guys go? Do you follow up with the courts whether they were charged or not? Even the OB can disappear. We live in a country like that. So the going rate is different. It can go as cheap as 50 shillings. So long as that idle guy can get a mugoka and some chewing gum for the night. You know, some of them transnight expecting for this activity.
I hear what you're saying, because that's what I think. And
if you need the guys in black like the ones you remember way back in Kasarani.
Oh yeah, the ones for
those ones may be a bit expensive because they need some suit,
some uniform,
some weapon, some uniform of some sort. Those ones can cost between 5,000 to 10,000.
I hear you.
And of course, they'll need some transport.
And a little bit of something to eat during the day, depending on how long they're going to hang around in the venue.
Actually, they don't need to eat. They need the changa, a cup of changa.
To remain charged. My Lord. This is what we are hearing.
So those ones can cost between 5,000 and 10,000. But these other ones, you go to Mlolongo and say, I need, nataka watu 10, and they come 50 of them. Those ones are 100 bobbies enough.
Wow. Can you imagine what we're talking about?
So, Kevin, do we have a gun problem or a political problem?
It depends from your perspective. Those who are in it don't see it as a problem. They see it as an opportunity.
Okay.
Suppose I'm running for a seat and I want to become a member of parliament for, say, Langata. And I have groups of guys I can hire. That's an opportunity for me. But for the general public, it's a problem because once the event is done, and there are some of those who are disgruntled or they are charged and say, we didn't achieve what we wanted, they look for a shop and loot.
Okay.
And maybe an opportunity presents itself and the event is over and they see, that shop is open, we can help ourselves. So it's a problem to the general public and those who are not involved. But to those who are in it, it's an opportunity. And they cash in on it.
Unfortunately so. Yeah. Calvin, thanks for your call this morning. Let's take some other calls as we can get into it. Thank you very much for calling this morning.
Thank you.
So we are looking at an issue and we're going to take a quick break. You know what? Because this thing that we're talking about here is actually quite scary once you start to think about it. Why do folks feel as though they need to use goons in the first place? Is that how far gone we are as a society? That you feel that you need to use them in order to achieve a political gain? In one way or another. That's the question, and we'll ask a little bit more of that when we come from this quick break. Goonism in the country. Dennis Aseto calls it the Gundistry.
Gunistry. Yeah, Gundistry.
Gundistry is better.
Gundistry is better.
All right. Talk to us when we come back from this. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, according to the TikTok of the clock, we're coming towards the end of traffic hour this Monday morning, but still a little bit of that, depending on where you are this morning. North Airport Road still looks like it's a bit of a pickle because there's a lot of inbound traffic, and it's moving along very, very slowly. Just a little bit of that, but not too crazy once you get past that little nook. And on the Pangani underpass, just a little bit of it as well. It seems that everybody is off to where they need to be this morning, so we're not going to have a traffic issue, at least not for now. We'll see what it looks like later on in the day. SpiceFM KE on X.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Exide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide. Inside from Chloride Oxide.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so what's the problem? And it's a conversation that we're having this morning, dear Mr. President. It seems that the folks that you have put in positions of authority are not able to deal with this goon problem. But then a little bit more than that, is it that they don't want to deal with the problem, or that this problem has actually been embraced as a modus operandi for doing things? And that's the question that we're asking this morning. Talk to us, 0732142650, 0732142652. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hi.
Hi, please tell us your name and where you're calling in from.
My name is Kennedy. I'm calling from Nairobi.
Kennedy, could you speak up just a little bit, sir?
My name is Kennedy. I'm calling from Nairobi.
Fantastic. Talk to us this morning. Is there a goon problem or a people problem?
Actually, I'm wondering whether this goon thing has come to the limelight so recently. This thing, if you've grown up in the ghetto, this thing has been there since, I don't know, forever. It's been there. It's been there. It's just that now it has gone to a higher scale. It's just that the president and the higher echelons of the leadership of this government are using them. The goons have been there. And actually, when I was growing up in the ghetto, there used to be these like professional goons communities or contractors. You just go and tell them you need like 20, 50 guys or 100 guys, and they'll provide a quotation for you.
For what? See, excuse me, Kennedy, for what? This is my question I'm asking. For what? Like when you go to fill the invoice, these professional guys that you talk about, see now, there you say, I need 50 chairs for a wedding and I need them to be draped, plus I need tables and whatever. In this case, when you are hiring 10 goons, unasema nini in the next line is for what?
Unasema, unataka goons, either unataka kuvuruga. If they come with clubs, that's an extra fee. If they come with pangas, it's an extra fee. If you need them armed also, it's a fee.
If you also want them to just shout, there's a fee.
If you want them to clap for you, it's a fee. If you want them to laugh at everything you say, you might be saying, and they laugh, that's a fee also.
So these goons, they come in varieties. There's the violent variety, there's the one for laughing and dancing and clapping.
Yeah. You see the ones that they were at All Saints Cathedral, sorry to say. Those ones probably were the cheapest, because that's how walikuwa wameambiwa. And then, goons also, they go kulingana na pesa mwapatia. You've given them probably less.
Hapo ndio pesa yako imefika.
Hapo sasa ndio pesa yako imefika. Kama ulikuwa mwatuma waende waingie tu mahali na wasifanye kitu. Now, hiyo pesa mwapatia sasa because ni ndogo wataenda waibe. You see, that's the problem. And it's been going on, I don't know, since forever. If the country is catching up with it right now, it's just been a menace. In the ghettos, you cannot do a meeting or an event without bribing the goons, or they come disrupt the event. That's how it has always been.
And they know, and the police know.
The police are always working with them, because even the firearms that the police want who rent them. Who rent the firearms to them, and there is nothing that you can do, because the goons are working even with the MPs. If you need any small event, unataka watu wafurahie, unataka mheshimiwa kuja aimbiwe, you need to hire goons. Even there are goons in forms of women. Ara nashtuka sana mkisema ati ni wanaume pekee. Wengine wanaenda azua wanasema wamama na nani, wamama na tutam, wamama wa broad base. It's always been the same culprit. But now sasa ukisikia kuna mahali unaenda kupewa 500 in the ghetto, unajua hiyo 500 utaenda utabeba simiti siku mzima. It's better, unajua utaenda uchukue hiyo 500 na probably utapatana na mtu mwenye amekaa vibaya simu upite nayo. That's also an added advantage, because the police are also on your side.
All right.
But now it's taking a very bad toll, because now the country is going the Haiti way. slowly drip, because now if we start arming them, now it's something else now, because now there is no order, and you cannot call them to order because they are in support of the government. You think today you are giving goons, you're arming goons, tomorrow will not be in government, then the goons will be a militia.
So they're even, so what you're saying, there are people, I'm sorry, we're going to stay just a little bit longer with this. There are people who may not even, there could be politicians who hire goons. I can decide that I have an event, I hire them. It could be two politicians playing against each other. Everybody just uses them when they want.
Yes, and because hii story, the Kehika story could be even the politician put asema mimi niko na gunzo wakali. Then the other politician says mimi niko na gunzo wakali kukuliko wako. Sasa basi acha tupatane tuone nani ndio wako na mkali. And the goons are the ones who will suffer, or property or innocent people. Like that bus, the welfare bus they touched.
Yeah.
Now whose cost was in that? But that's why unaona viburi ya politicians. We are living in a country that is full of very evil people.
Asante sana. Thank you for Thanks for calling, Kennedy, and thanks for sharing your insight this morning. Kennedy says that these things have been around for a long time, and it's people who are employing them now. We're hearing from more of you this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name. I can see that you're calling in from Iblary in Poland.
Yeah. My name is Malcolm, and I'm calling direct from Poland.
Yes.
And I just want to talk about the show that you're doing today.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually, when you look deep into it, actually, this is something that is not happening today or now. Actually, something that happened, it's like been a trend in Kenya. I can't remind you. Do you remember in high school, you used to have something used to be called like the cheerleaders, cheer groups, and these were kind of the noisemakers. Every now and then in the list of noisemakers, they could not miss. Just in case there's a function, or there is an event happening elsewhere outside the school, inside the school, these were the people to be picked from the list. And we know very well, hata kama mtashinda, as long as these people are there, believe me, even if whatever that's going to happen there, it's going to be an event that is going to kind of bring some entertainment into it. It's going to kind of scare the other people, even if they are kind of having a power over you or something. It's like you are in the bomb club, and it used to give fear maybe to the other school, to the other students, such kind of a thing. The same thing now. This is the kind of not the same people. The kind of habit now is going now even after the school now into the politics at the moment. Actually, you know it well. Hapa mimi sina changu, lakini nikiwa nao watu kelele zao ni mayowe yao, angalau watafanya wataogopesha wale ama wataelimindio nitaonekana mwenyewe. So it's something that is going on every now and then. Even in the families, you have such kind of people, you know it. When I go with this and this one, uncle that anisikia, nikienda peke yangu, ama nikienda mimi na huyu, hawatanisikia. So there's this kind of a cousin or who, namwambia, niaje bro, naka hivi na hivi, anambia, we sawa, ninge tu pembe fulani hivi, alafu mimi nitaongea nao. Akienda pale ankwake nini, it's not like he's got a post or something, but anasikia yule mtu mwenye nini, he argues out of nothing. He only argues out of making noise, just to kind of control the crowd. He's got totally no points. He's got totally no argument. There's totally no how can I call it, no point to pass forward. But the moment that he speaks, what is like just to how can I call, destroy the motion in the house, kind of distract the motion, kind of steal people's attention, and the motion is not going to be discussed, not going to be passed forward. It's going to be postponed each and every now.
Thank you.
That's what I have for now, and I miss you, Kenya. Have a good day.
Asante sana, and thank you for your call this morning. For sure. We're definitely hearing from others. Look, we're coming from the place that doesn't matter how thin you slice it, that this is wrong. It doesn't matter what it is wrong. It's not about being on one side or the other. It is wrong that this is being done. We're hearing from folks in terms of what you feel about it as well. Maggie calling in from Vihiga. Good morning.
Mzuri sana.
Yes, Maggie.
Ni nini huyo?
Tell us, ulitupigia?
Shosho wa Vihiga.
Niambie shosh.
Sasa mimi nataka kutoa maoni yangu.
Kuhusu goons.
Hii guni wanasema ni guni, unasikia mama?
Yes.
Hii guni wakati wanashikwa, wapinzani wanaenda kotini kusimama kuwatetea. Yes, yuwaiona no matter hawajawafanya kitu. Neno ya pili, hawa guni saa ile serikali inadili nao, wanasema wanaua watoto ya watu. Mimi nasema wazazi ya watoto wakae na watoto yao, wakishakaa na watoto yao, wawafanye nini? Wawarekebishe. Watoto wajue hata kama na serikali unatafuta nini baba? Mashamba ziko, watoto walime, watafute vibarua, wafanye. Hii njaa tufuguse. Kenyatta alisema harambee, tokinyana harambee, tolemerebebe. Jamhuri inayogamera. Jamhuri imesimama na hii Kenya ikiharibika sisi wote tutapata tabu. Sio guni, sio tajiri, sio nani, sisi wote tutakimbia. Jamhuri nchi zinaharibika. Rwanda, Burundi waliua kina Habyarimana, waliua kina nani? Angalia wakimbizi waliko Kenya hii, wamekimbia. Na sisi wa Kenya tutaenda wapi? Kwa sababu nchi yetu ya Kenya ni nchi ya amani. Viongozi wajue namna wanaweza endesha taifa la Kenya. Unaona viongozi wengine wamechaguliwa katika ile zao wafanyie watu yao kazi. Wamewacha ile kazi ya kufanya, waliko kwa maandamano kwa barabara. Hao viongozi wetu mkitaka kujua wanadawa jukuu yetu na watoto, hawaleti watoto wao waende barabarani. Wanachukua watoto wa watu, wakichukua watoto wao ni hae tu watumikie, lakini aliye nguni anawatazama. Kwa sababu Biblia inatuambia ukiharibu watu wangu nami nitakuharibu. Na kuna dhambi sio kuwa na msamaha. Taifa hili letu la Kenya natakikana, Mungu anasema njoni tusemezane. Asema Bwana Mungu, dhambi japo kuwa nyekundu kama damu itakuwa nyeupe kama theluji. Mbona tusisemezane? Gachagua na hao wengine ni mandugu, kuna wakiangana kina Ruto. Ni wandugu. Karibu taifa letu ya Kenya kwa ajili ya mamlaka. Tunataka mamlaka tu peke yake, tujitajirishe, tuwe watu wa kusifika. Hapana. Kenya ikiharibika sisi wote tumeharibika. Hatutaki ile vita yenye kwa mataifa mengine. Asante mama.
Thank you so much Shosha. Asante sana kutupigia leo asubuhi. I mean, there it is. That you take it as you want it, but there it is. That you cannot sit back and watch a situation like this go to the dogs.
I love the fact that she's called upon both parties who are in this gun industry to sit down and just iron out their issues.
Linda Gola, very spirited this morning, saying, you know what, we have to come from the premise where you say that, number one, if you're giving people money to then go and perpetuate violence, there is a problem. It doesn't matter what side you're on. And then we're also saying at the same time, if these people have been identified, and I'm not going to shy away from this, if these people have been identified over and over again, that the only business you have with them as a security intelligence agency is to bring them to book. Period. Especially when they're telling you who hired them.
Exactly. I think as well fact that the gun industry has been there for a very long time, as has been said by our listeners. But the fact that it has been there for a very long time and it has not been handled, it is not just in this government, it's not previous government, it has been there for a very long time. Why is there laxity in dealing with it once and for all? Who does it benefit for it to continue being an industry?
Who is it benefiting? Those are the questions that we're asking this morning. We talk about it until it becomes so uncomfortable for you to imagine that you can hire a goon and get away scot-free. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling in from, sir.
Francis from Kakamega.
Yes, Francis, talk to us.
Yeah, my contribution to this discussion is that as most scholars are saying, we have had this issue for quite some time. I would give a personal experience of one incident somewhere in a funeral.
Yes. Yeah.
Where these goons, and I can clearly tell you these are people we know them. In fact, if you ask me the goons around Kakamega, I'll tell you plus the names.
Yeah.
Now, a situation occurred where two politicians from opposing ends hired these fellows in some funeral. By coincidence, they hired the same people to make sure that the opponent does not talk.
Okay.
Now, during the burial, nobody would talk because the same people had been hired by the two groups. And you could clearly see when this one stands, the same group are heckling. That time they were called hecklers. So they would heckle everybody because these people had been hired by the two opposing ends to make sure that the end does not talk. And the people who hired them didn't know they're hiring the same people. So at the end of the day, there was no funeral because the hecklers were just throughout, given that they were the same. You could clearly see who they were. They could be called by names, by their names, by the fellows who hired them. So I'm basically saying, in the villages, we know they are known. They are known by villagers. If you want goons, you will be given a few names subject to the amount they charge. So my suggestion would be, given that we have these things, I think some entrepreneurs should come up and even start a training college, which to me would be called a goons training college, where these goons would be properly trained, so that if they are to beat people, they don't injure so much. And if they are to ask for money, they ask for money subject to their training. I would seriously propose, because we have them and it's like we will not do without them.
Yeah.
Let somebody come up with a training college to offer certificates, diplomas and such like, so that we have now properly trained goons.
To do what, though? Properly trained goons to do what?
What they're being hired for, because the way it is now, this was carrying rungu, some are
which is my question. What are they being used for? To instill fear? To instill fear in others so that you don't, so that then if you're going to train them even more, so that they can do what? Empower them. Empowerment. Okay, so you can go do something else.
No. To go, initially we were calling them hecklers. And somebody said initially they were being called professional mourners, some. Now, to me, because they are there and it's like we might not do without them, let them be given a training where if it's a matter of heckling, they heckle to a nature that they are not harming the innocent people in that meeting.
I hear you.
If they are going to cause harm, they are not causing harm to the innocent.
Okay.
And if they are to charge, let them charge fees subject to their training.
Okay, got it.
We are not serious about these good issues.
Thank you very much for your call in this morning. Much appreciated. Let's hear from some others today. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Huyu ni Joshua Buhaya kutoka Matunda.
Yes, Joshua from Matunda. Tuambie, goons. People are saying now we should, if they're going to be trained, they be trained properly for good.
Unajua goons hizi, kitu inaleta goons ni human right. Kwa nini niseme hivyo? Wakati hao watu wanakuja, serikali inaanza kuchunga hao namna hii, unasikia human right wametokesea, wanasema serikali inatumia nguvu kupita kiasi. So ule askari hata akiatake hawa, utasikia wakisema namna hii, serikali inatumia nguvu kupita kiasi. Sasa serikali mimi kufikiria kwangu, naona kama serikali imefikiria ya kwamba wacha goons kutane na wale goons wengine, alafu tuone human right itafanya nini, kwa sababu ukiatake hawa askari wakiatake hawa namna hiyo wamaliza hizi goons, human right wanatokezea, wanasema serikali ilitumia nguvu zaidi kupita kiasi. Utamaliza namna gani goons kama hamwezi wacha serikali ifanye kazi yake na wananchi wafanye kazi yake?
Joshua, mtu anauliza swali. Wakati tuseme kama goons wanaonekana wakitembea na askari, hiyo inamaanisha nini?
Unajua sasa askari wamechoka, kwa sababu kama askari atataki mtu anaiba kwa duka la mtu, ama anabomoa kwa kitu ya mtu, itaonekana ya kwamba huyu askari ameataki ule mtu. Sasa hawachukui kama ni mtu mwenye alikuwa anafanya uhalifu, wanachukua kama yule mtu alikuwa right. Unaona? Sasa hiyo right ndio inafanya askari wanawaachilia wale goons wafanye vile wanataka kufanya. Sasa unakuta upande mwingine kuna goons wa serikali, kuna upande mwingine kuna goons wa wanasiasa. Unaona? Hiyo ndio kitu inaleta ubaya sana. Human right inataka niangalie upande yote, iangalie upande wa serikali, iangalie upande wa raia. Si ati wanalemea upande moja. Kama mtu atakuja, kama hawa vijana waliingia kwa bunge wakaenda wakachoma bendera ndani ya bunge, wewe ungefanya namna gani? Ungefanya namna gani kwa wale? Ungewacha tu waharibu? Kama wangelichukua ushukani, si wangependwa serikali? Sasa kuna magaidi pale na kuna watu wazuri wenye wanaweza fanya vitu vizuri, lakini sasa human right inaamuka. Wakati kitu inatokea, unaona kana human right imaamuka, inasema serikali imetumia nguvu sana. Utakosa kutumia namna gani nguvu kama mtu ako na mawe na wewe uko na bunduki, akikupiga mawe si atakuua? utafanya namna gani? Hiyo gundi zinaletwa na hao human right ndio wana support vitu kama hizo.
Lakini Joshua
sioni I think tukue careful kidogo. Sioni kama watu wa human rights ndio wanaleta hao watu wa goons, but Dennis
inaonekana hata sasa wache niseme sasa, hata unajua hata vyombo ya habari tena sisi vyombo ya habari tena vinachangia upande mwingine. Hamwezi kufuata ukweli kabisa, muonyeshe wa Kenya ukweli iko hapa na hii ni ukweli na hii ni right. Unaona ile vitu yote inafanyika inataka na muonyeshe kwamba hapa kweli serikali imefanya vizuri na hapa haijafanya vizuri.
Joshua, kulingana na wewe ukweli kulingana na goonism ni gani?
Okay, I think we've lost him. We'll take some others this morning. That was easily going left, but let's hear it. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Tana River.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What are your thoughts around the goonism issue?
Hii issue ya goonism, vile mimi naona, ni serikali ndo wanawaleta.
Aje?
Kwa sababu wakati maandamano huwa yanaanza, huwa tunaona maandamano yako very peaceful. Watu wanatembea ni kama ni mabango wamebeba, ni kama ni matawi wameinua juu, na hiyo maandamano huwa inaendelea vizuri. Lakini unaona ikifika noon, wakati askari wanaanza kujitokeza, ndio tunaanza kuona watu wanapigwa vitoa machozi, watu wanaanza maduka zinaanza kuvunjwa. Hata ndio tunajiuliza hawa watu wao wanatokea wapi? Kama asubuhi maandamano ilikuwa inafanyika vizuri, kila kitu ilikuwa inaendelea vizuri, mbona askari wakitokelezea wanaanza kupiga watu ambao wako peaceful, hawana silaha, hawana mawe, hawana nini? So my thought is serikali huwa wanajua hawa goons ni watu gani, na wao ndo wanawaleta pale kwa maandamano ili kuvuruga ile maandamano, ile show mbaya. Kile kilio cha mwananchi kisisikike. Waseme wale watu walikuwa ni waharibifu, walikuwa ni magaidi, lakini si wananchi ambao walikuwa wako na amani.
Kweli
ni ile kupoteza ile taswira ya ile maandamano. Na hiyo ni vibaya sana kama serikali wanafanya hivyo, kwa sababu sisi tuko na katiba yetu, tuko na uhuru wa kuongea kile kitu kinatukera. Kama serikali sisi tunawaambia hichi kitu kinatukera, kwa nini wao wanataka kulazimisha? Maisha ni ngumu saa hii, hata kukula kwenyewe. Kwanza huko tuna river. Life is so hard. Yani hata kupeleka mtoto shule tunashindwa saa hii. Na kama kilio chetu sisi tunalilia serikali, mbona serikali isisikilize huyu mwananchi ambao analia, ambao amekuwa na depression ya maisha?
Kweli.
So serikali wanajua hawa goons ni watu gani. Mchango wangu huu.
Asante sana kutupigia leo asubuhi. For sure, definitely hearing you know opinions, and that's at the end of the day. If you know who they are, why not get them?
Why not get them?
Look, I don't care who is operating or who is hiring them. A goon
is a goon. And a goon is a thug, and that is a criminal.
Why do we want to pussyfoot around this issue? That, well, you know, because my goons were only
stronger than yours.
Oh no, mine were not carrying weapons. Mine were just shouting. No. That you needed to hire a force apart from yourself to instill anything in anybody that was beyond positive, then we have a problem. And we cannot sugarcoat it. We cannot make it sound better. You cannot dress it up and put lipstick on it and say that, oh, okay, my goon now has makeup, so my goon is better than yours. Stop it.
And you said the most critical part of it all, Nduh, is if you listen to the gentleman who's called us from Kakamega, he says, if you ask me to name you a goon, I will tell you.
If the people know who they are, how much more intelligent?
Exactly. So if the people in a jurisdiction know who the goon are, if the politicians themselves know, whoever is hiring the goons, know where to go to get them, who to call to get them, and how they will pay them, it therefore continues to support our argument that the intelligence must know, because they are trained to collect intelligence. They know who the goons are, where to get them, who hires them, how much they're paid, and that all that is needed is for that intelligence to amount to something.
Of what good?
Thank you.
Of what purpose, if not for destruction and or criminality, is a goon in this current dispensation? And if you cannot point to anything save for destruction and criminality, then they must be snuffed out. It's very simple.
True, very simple.
Very simple. Brought before a court of law, arrested, thrown in jail, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Made to pay for this thing that they do. And the perpetrator. Remember that we said, in times of conflict, it is not just the person on the ground who did the deed. The person who facilitated for them to operate, the person who paid is just as culpable. So we're dealing with a thing here. We said you pick a puppy off the road and you say that you're going to feed it one day. Then you think it is a dog and it turns into a hyena. It'll eat you.
Yep.
Are we ready to mollycoddle with this situation? No. Until it becomes something so big that you're not able to deal with it? Now is the time to not... Well, people have said they've been there since Sikuza Nini? Mzee wa Jeshi. That they've been there forever. Okay. It's been there. Doesn't mean that you cannot stop it.
Thank you.
Today.
We have supported nonsense for a very long time. It is about time that we as a society, as the political class, as the security said, you jinge imekuwa for a very long time. We are cutting it from now moving forward. Today.
Because here we are and you are flirting with disaster, flirting with destruction, and you think that the thing is not going to come and eat you for breakfast?
Yep.
Come on. And then we want to say, well, mine are better because they do what, or mine did not cause here. No. The fact that you think that you needed to employ them to use them for a particular thing, that's where the problem lies. Linda's been asking through this whole morning, what is the purpose of this thing, these people? What are they to achieve? And if what they're to achieve is not anything that's going to develop you in a positive manner, you do not need them.
You do not need to have goons to spread fear for you to perpetuate your agenda. You can perpetuate your agenda in a peaceful gathering and achieve that which you wanted.
We're calling it out this morning, and that's where we end things this morning. We'll call it out. We'll not keep quiet. And where do you get the money to pay these people? They can't use that money for something else. It's 10 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubanga. Police in Tana River County are investigating the killing of 5 men in Bangale sub-county in what authorities suspect was an execution-style attack. The victims were found dead near a watering point in the Biagadud area on Saturday after a harder reported hearing gunshots and seeing armed men firing at people lying on the ground. Police identified the victims as members of the Digodia community, all of whom died from gunshot wounds. The scene was processed and investigations launched. However, attempts to move the bodies to Garissa Level 5 Hospital mortuary for post-mortem examinations were resisted by local residents who buried the victims according to Islamic rites. The motive for the killings and the identities of the attackers still remain unknown. Police in Lamu East Sub-County are investigating the death of a Special Operations Group officer in an incident being treated as a suspected suicide. The officer, identified as Administration Police Constable Joseph Njeri, was found dead at the SOG camp in Mararani. According to police, colleagues heard a gunshot from his quarters at about 11 a.m. and rushed to check on him, only to find him lying lifeless on his bed. Preliminary findings indicate that he may have shot himself under the chin with a bullet exiting through the top of his head. That body was airlifted to Manda Base after the scene was processed, and detectives also recovered his G3 service rifle and a spent cartridge for further examination. Kisumu woman representative Ruth Odinga is calling for an independent investigation into last week's attack on Chemelil Sugar Academy, where armed men stormed the school and injured at least 10 people. In a statement, Odinga linked the incident to ongoing disputes over the management of sugar sector assets following the listing of state-owned sugar mills. She urged investigators to establish not only who carried out the attack, but also who may have benefited from the conflict behind it. The legislator also raised concerns over alleged job losses, salary cuts, poor working conditions, and reduced benefits for workers at Chemelil and Muhoroni sugar companies since the leasing process began. She has called for an